South Park did stereotyping right, though, because they just made fun of literally everybody. So you couldn't get mad at them for anything, right?
Right. I mean, you can,
but you have no right to.
Right.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stokastic.com NBA Deeper Dive presented by So Rare. Ooh, All-Star break almost upon us. 3-game slate tonight. Good one at that for a 3-game slate. I'm Dave Loughran at Lafayette_D, LOUGHY_D, joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. Foggy day out there in Baltimore, Maryland, huh?
Yeah, it's wild. I sent you the picture before the show. Cannot see the water from my balcony, which means I cannot see like 30 feet.
Yeah. Have you gone outside at all?
I went to lunch with a friend earlier, but it was just like pouring down rain at the time. It wasn't like super foggy.
How you feeling about tonight?
It's interesting for a 3-gamer. We got Middleton ruled out since this morning, so that opens up even more for Milwaukee. We got Caruso ruled out on the other side of that one. So it's just really interesting because you have a couple of shorthanded teams in that first game with Milwaukee, Chicago, a lot of good plays there. You've got a ton of good plays from Minnesota, also some Q tags there that could potentially open up more. And then you have 3 teams basically in Washington, the Clippers, and the Suns, where it's more so just like, yeah, all these guys are fine, but like nothing really stands out. These teams are pretty much healthy, or at least, close to it. So it's a pretty weird slate, pretty interesting one. I think for a 3-gamer, it's pretty fun.
There's usually, you look at this, and when you have these type of slates with 3 games, only 6 teams, a decent amount of injuries, like you pointed out, or just guys sitting, whether it's Milwaukee, Chicago, Minnesota with the questionable players. Do you think there's going to be spots where we can maybe get away from the chalky value and get to some other value on those same shorthanded teams that might provide leverage? Or is the chalk very clear and obviously not the right play, because it's obvious it's chalk for a reason? Yeah. But are there avenues you think, whereas we, sometimes we talk about certain teams where you go, yeah, if Mark Williams doesn't do well at this, or if, are there any spots you see like that potentially today?
Sort of. There are, but the difference is that like even the guys you would pivot to are still pretty popular because of it being a 3-game slate. The 2 spots where you would immediately look to are Chicago and Milwaukee, I think. And like you have, 40 to 45 to 50% ownership coming into Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White with no DeRozan and no Caruso. And that's perfectly fine. But then like, it's like, okay, well, what if something really weird happens? Who's the next guy up? And it's most likely Dallin Terry, but like he's pulling 13% ownership as well. So, that's not a spot where it's just like, oh, I can just, win the slate basically if things break my way there. With Milwaukee, you get sort of that opportunity more so. Like Javon Carter is only pulling 4.5% ownership. People are going to play Beauchamp, Ingles, Allen, and deservedly so. But the game could go a weird way where like Javon Carter plays more minutes or Wesley Matthews plays more minutes, but Wesley Matthews also sucks from a fantasy standpoint. So it's hard to really be excited there. I think there are those pivots, but it's not the same sort as like the Mark Williams example, because you're talking about pivoting to really shitty point per minute guys that you're hoping to get a bunch of minutes from somehow, as opposed to just simply saying like, I know this guy's going to get more minutes if the guy ahead of him gets in foul trouble and he's a good point per minute guy.
Or just say, yeah, I was going to say, or just saying all he needs to do is get the minutes.
Right.
And then we're good.
Right. It's like we talk about, you need to get lucky twice on
the Ben Rasa theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. By the way, P. Fitzy said, I know this is a basketball show, but I got to shout out Ben Rasa for the great golf knowledge that he gives out. Yeah, man. Check those shows out. He crushes it.
If you're in good position on a Thursday, just write it off now, because that shit never works.
Yeah, I didn't read that. I didn't read that part of the message. But no, his Ben's information is awesome for PGA. So check all that out. All right, let's do it. We got 3 games to talk about, and we'll kick it off with Milwaukee and Chicago. Before we do, though, hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. I just made it the 100th like on the board. We hit 750 were you producing, Jordan? 750 we hit on Tuesday night. So obviously that's tough to match, but I know you guys are out there and I know you have fingers that work. So if you haven't done so, take a single second to, I'll let you say a chat, atone for your sins and wash yourselves clean of that filth. You'll feel like a brand new person. Really, it's just the YouTube algorithm. It helps us a lot. So we appreciate you for it in advance. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. Milwaukee. So the Bucks here, 8.5, 7.5 point favorites, depending on where you're looking. No Bobby Portis still. Chris Middleton sitting out the second end of or Chris Middleton sitting out. Sorry. Pat Connaughton out of this one. Man, first things first, right? 3-game slate, and you're still, despite the insane salary, seeing 42% on Giannis Antetokounmpo. But it makes a ton of sense. The guy has a point prop today of 35.5. He has a point rebound and assist prop. Just to give you an idea of what we deal with this guy. Point rebounds and assist prop of 54.5. So at 12-7, it still makes sense as long as this game stays competitive.
So, you said his points prop is 35?
It went down to 34.5, but it's juiced minus 120 to the over.
Okay,
Points,
so just we'll call it 35. There are 12 players on this slate, not including Giannis, projected for more than 35 fantasy points. So that's why crazy. Giannis is such a priority. He's right now we have him projected 18 points ahead of Anthony Edwards, who's the second highest DraftKings point projection on the slate. We have 46.8 DraftKings points for Edwards, 64.1 for Giannis. And with it being a 3-game slate, it just becomes so difficult to make up those points because there's fewer mid-range options that can even possibly go for 55 or 60 and make like a 65 from Giannis not that useful. So certainly deserves a ton of ownership, even though he is expensive at 12-7. Right now, we have him at 42% ownership on DraftKings, but also with a 42% chance of being optimal. That's just a massive chance of being optimal for somebody at that price tag. Similarly, you have about a 43% chance of being optimal for Jrue Holiday at 7,500. He was a very good play, assuming Chris Middleton was going to be in. Now you know that every minute he's playing is not with Chris Middleton. Yep. It's either with just Giannis or with neither of them. And in the minutes where Giannis isn't on the floor, it's going to be the Jrue Holiday show. So both of those guys just look absolutely fantastic and pieces that I certainly want to build around.
Let's talk a little bit about Grace. Sorry. I hear my daughter's screaming outside.
I thought you just couldn't help laughing going from Giannis and Jrue Holiday to Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen. Yeah, I should have played it off well or better. But Grayson Allen coming off 36 minutes in that last game, that overtime victory against Boston. I mean, look, he's not the most exciting player, but you're taking Middleton off. You're taking Connaughton off. They're going to need shooting somewhere outside of just Giannis and Holiday. Understandably, it can come from kind of a number of options that just combine to soak up that usage. But Grayson Allen is somebody that can at least get hot from beyond the arc. We have seen games where, you know, his shot volume has increased based on guys like this being out, and you're playing him at a wing position. So how many minutes do you like for him tonight, and how much of a priority is he for you?
Yeah, I mean, he should play a lot here because, like you said, you're missing not only Middleton, but you're missing Connaughton. I think expecting around 30 minutes from Allen makes sense. Certainly could play more, but, you know, there's a lot of ways that can go. But 30 is a pretty fair projection, I think. And he's not a great point per minute guy, but he is 3/4 of a fantasy point per minute this season overall. Like you said, they're going to need his shooting. He's cheap. It's just a spot where, you know, you're never going to be super excited to get to Grayson Allen, but clearly looks like one of many good value plays on this slate. Right now projected for 28% ownership on DraftKings, 23% chance of being optimal. Just looks like a good way to sort of fill out lineups so you can get up to Giannis and Holiday and Levine and Edwards and these guys that you actually want in your lineups.
Osiris Orion. I had jury duty today and the judge asked for any exemption situations, and I asked if we would be done before lock. That's a guy who hits the thumbs up as soon as he comes in. I've never had jury duty. I've never gotten anything. Have you?
I'd rather not say, but no, I haven't.
Why would you rather not say?
Because now I'm sure I'm going to.
Do you really think they're watching us right now and they're gonna?
No, I just think as soon as I say anything, the opposite happens. So
I'd be kind of stoked on it if it was something cool and then I didn't have to go back. Would you find
if it's cool, then it's probably gonna be like a prolonged trial.
I know, that's why I said I just want to go for the first day. Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to. Would you just find a way to be exempt? Like when they ask the questions, would you just say something preposterous? Like insanely offensive, and they're like, all right, well, nobody's selecting him.
It probably depends how hungover I am. Like if I'm like if I'm in like a normal mood, I'd probably just like grin and bear it and go along with it. But if you get me in like that shitty, like I just woke up, I'm hungover, and now I'm being selected for jury duty, I could see just like saying something absurd.
There's no chance they're selecting you for jury. So Giannis, Holiday, but hey, thanks, man. I mean, what did they say? Giannis, Holiday, Grayson Allen, Joe Ingles being another one, just talking about, one of these combo guard type options that they're going to need minutes from today, because you're taking Middleton off the floor, who had seen his minutes increase up to 25 over his last two. Usage has been considerable. And then you also take Connaughton, who we both talked about, but you're taking Connaughton off the floor, who it's not like he's playing mid-20s in minutes almost every single night with upside for more. So how do we fill in all of this playing time today? And
yeah, so I mean, I expect Beauchamp to probably start. Certainly doesn't have to. It could be Carter, it could be Matthews, but he's 3K flat. Right now, we have him projected for 18.4 DraftKings points, 21% ownership. Another guy who he's not a very good point per minute guy, but it's not like you're talking Tony Snell or even Matisse Thybulle. He's 3/4 of a fantasy point per minute overall this year in about 500 minutes. Sure, that probably goes down a bit playing with the starters, but at 3K flat, if he's starting, he's going to be a good enough point per dollar value to open things up. Because again, you have to keep in mind that there's just not a very strong mid-range with this being a 3-game slate. You have your guys that you want to pay up for, and then it's kind of just using what value you can to get to them. So he's going to look pretty good. Joe Ingles at 3,400, point guard, shooting guard, played about 28 minutes in regulation last game, 31 minutes total. Would not be surprised at all if he's in the closing lineup. Actually, would expect him to probably be in the closing lineup. So he looks good at 3,400. He so far this year is at 0.73 DraftKings points per minute. So you're just talking about a bunch of really cheap guys here that are around 3/4 of a fantasy point per minute, give or take, and certainly have a path to more minutes. I mentioned Javon Carter as an interesting tournament piece earlier because right now he's not pulling ownership. He's not projected as well as guys like Beauchamp or Ingles, but we know that he can step into more minutes. They will play him next to Jrue Holiday. We've seen him start games next to Jrue Holiday this year. So it's not like it's a foregone conclusion that Javon Carter is not going to see more minutes here. And if he's not going to get any ownership, I like taking some shots at him too, just because I think it's basically impossible to know beforehand exactly how the minutes are going to break down between Beauchamp, Matthews, Ingles, and Carter.
Fortunately, this is a 7:30 game though, just when it comes to seeing what the lineups look like. Yeah. Let me take this a different direction before we move off of Milwaukee and on to Chicago. Are there certain spots where, I mean, you mentioned Carter, Beauchamp, there's a few down there, but are there any spots where you say, listen, I'm fine getting a lot of Milwaukee Bucks in my lineups tonight, but I just don't want these guys in the same lineup?
So I'm typically not going to be too strict on rules on a 3-game slate, but normally for stuff like that, I try and think about the closing lineup. And you fully expect, assuming a competitive game, that Giannis, Holiday, and Lopez are in the closing lineup. So you're probably getting 2 of Allen, Ingles, Beauchamp, Carter, Matthews. I could see setting a max 2 there, or if you wanted to be a little bit more lenient with it, like a max 3. I certainly wouldn't expect to ever get all 4 of those guys in a lineup anyway. So probably don't even need to set that rule. But if you wanted to go max 2, I think you could. One other consideration for if you want to use that rule or not that I try and think about is, like, what are the alternatives on the slate? Is it a slate where there's a lot of other guys in this price range that I could go to? So, for example, if I have Joe Ingles and and Beauchamp in a lineup, is there somebody priced like Grayson Allen or Javon Carter? And in this case, the answer is yes. Like, if I have those guys in a lineup, I probably would rather in that lineup just have Dosunmu or Kobe White or Terry, one of the Chicago guys, for example. So I think you're fine setting a max 2 here. Again, I don't know that I will, just because it's a 3-game slate and they're all cheap enough where like 3 of them could get there. But if I'm setting a rule, it would be along those lines.
Okay. Yeah. Check out Emacs free building blocks article. He just threw the link in there. That's a popular article, man. Every single season, EMAC puts that article out. It's popular and it's free. So check it out. Chicago Bulls. All right. So Milwaukee's not the only team with some notable absences today. I want to start in the backcourt with you, then we'll work our way through this. DeMar DeRozan's out, Caruso's out, Goran Dragic out, Derek Jones Jr. out. In the backcourt is severely limited in terms of bodies. Even if you're talking about some of these lesser notable bodies on most slates, no surprise that Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu are getting such high ownership. I mean, the minutes that we saw from these guys last game, and I'll ask you the same thing. You can answer these in whatever order you want. Like, does the fact that they're on the second of a back-to-back mean that Dosunmu doesn't play 43 minutes again? I don't know the answer to that, but the minutes are huge. Even if you're projecting them for 37 or 38, very little surprise that they're so popular on a 3-gamer.
Yeah, and they're really shorthanded here. Like now they have bodies they can go to, but not guys that they typically ever play. So like Dallin Terry, I fully expect to be in the rotation here. Maybe they go to one of those other guys, but yesterday you got those 42 minutes from Dosunmu and 33 minutes from Kobe White in a game where Alex Caruso played 30. And Alex Caruso's out today. Goran Dragic is still out. So, and Terry played 15 in that game. So I expect a lot of minutes from these guys. We have Kobe White projected for 32. We have Ayo Dosunmu projected for 37. Those both look completely reasonable to me. We have Terry at 22 minutes, and then we have Carlik Jones picking up 12, Malcolm Hill picking up 14. You know, those are guys that just have not been in the rotation for the Bulls this year. And while I do think they play, because I don't think the Bulls just run like a 7-man rotation, I don't expect them to play huge roles. I think that you're just going to get very, very solid minutes for Vooch, Levine, Dosunmu, White, Williams. You're going to get Drummond backing up Vooch. You're going to get Terry as the primary like wing / guard guy off the bench. And then you're going to get Jones and Hill just soaking up whatever minutes are left.
Dude, there were 8 players in this rotation last night. 6 of them played 214 out of 240 total minutes.
Yeah.
43 from Dosunmu, 43 from Levine, 29 for Patrick Williams, 30 from Caruso, who's out, 37 from Vooch, 33 from White, and then Drummond played 11 and Terry played 15. So if you're taking Caruso out, and you had talked about, obviously, you know, Drummond backs up Vooch, Terry gets the wing, you know, those backup wing minutes, however many that may be. Caruso's 30 minutes being voided here. Where do you think they go, given that we saw so much like you're not playing Levine and Dosunmu 48, right? So where do they go? Where do those
Levine might
go with such short rotation?
Yeah, so I think you're just going to see Terry go from his like 15 up to like 22 to 24. So that's going to soak up, we'll call it 10, but 8 to 10 of the Caruso minutes leaves you with around 22. Let's say Dosunmu is not playing 43 again. Let's say he's playing like 38. So we'll say that leaves you with like 26 minutes, getting something like 12 from Jones, 14 from Hill. That's how we have it projected. That makes sense to me. Could it end up being a tighter rotation where Kobe White does play 38 and Dosunmu plays 42 and Terry plays like 26? It's possible, but I assume that they just extend the rotation a bit to lighten the workload a little bit for those guys.
You would think so. But man, when you've got such a condensed rotation, even if they extend it a little bit at these price points with DeRozan's usage out of the lineup, it's kind of a pick your poison type of spot. Am I wrong?
I was reading chat. Sorry.
I'm saying, like, just given the, like, zooming out on this, given DeRozan out, you know, take that usage, take those minutes away, given the condensed rotation, even if they were to extend it, a little bit, it's still kind of like a pick your poison type lineup where you could put your finger on one of these guys with your eyes closed, and he's probably a decent play.
Oh yeah, for sure. As long as basically you're not talking about Malcolm Hill or Carlik Jones or something.
No.
Yeah, like,
but I think you can play Drummond today.
Yeah, so like Drummond, it's not like you're expecting him to play minutes alongside Vooch, but you fully expect him to get all of the backup minutes. If they did actually, that is one path they could go, I guess, against like a Giannis and Lopez frontcourt. Maybe you do get like 2-3 minutes of them alongsdside each other. Not something I'm going to project.
To see that.
I mean, they did it. What was it? Drummond and Embiid would do it occasionally. No. Drummond, there were instances. I don't remember what team. There were instances recently where you did occasionally get Drummond and a center together. But anyway, not saying that I think that's going to happen. But you do expect all of the backup minutes to be Drummond. So if Vooch plays 36, you're probably getting 12 for Drummond. But if Vooch only plays 34, you're at 14. He's such a good point per minute guy that certainly don't mind taking some shots there, especially because he is only getting 5% ownership. But Terry at 3K flat, 13% owned, no real problem there. I do expect him to be, low to mid 20s today. White and Dosunmu are clearly not priced for their roles, even though, Kobe White, the one thing to keep in mind with Kobe White is this isn't Kobe White from a few years ago where like Levine was out and Kobe White was running the show offensively. That's not his role on this team. And Levine's going to be out there probably for 40 plus minutes. So it's not going to be the Kobe White just out there gunning, but he's just going to be out there for so many minutes at 4,100 that he's still going to be a good option. And Dosunmu's, the same sort of thing.
Played 11 minutes with Joel Embiid last season. Okay. I was thinking, was it Brooklyn though, when he went to Brooklyn?
It could have been. There was somewhere where it happened often enough that it was just like, all right, this is weird.
No, it was the Lakers. I think it was the Lakers.
I forgot he even played for the Lakers.
Yeah, man, he played for the Lakers.
He's played 12 minutes with Vooch this year.
Okay.
23 possessions.
Hell, even against this lineup, if he played 3 minutes with Vooch, you're maybe getting 15 minutes from Drummond.
Right. That's the only reason I even mentioned it. I'm not even saying like that I think it's more likely than not to happen. I'm just saying like, he's playing every minute that Vooch isn't on the floor. And there's some chance that to soak up a couple of these minutes, like really, is it, does Billy Donovan care all that much whether Karlik Jones gets 2 more minutes or whether he plays Andre Drummond next to Vucevic for 2 minutes? Like, you're kind of not in an appealing situation regardless.
Super chat. $20 super chat. Brazil. What? Oh, dude, this is like the lineup generator master over here. Hit like 70 grand on the lineup generator, using the lineup generator over the last couple of weeks. So I love to see it. Hey guys, good luck everyone tonight. FanDuel, if you were to do a game stack of this game, what are the number of players you would have on each side? So that's always a tricky question, Adam, because like you're never really intentionally running game stacks unless you think like the other games are just awful. Or I mean, I don't know. If you're running a game stack, you said what are the number of players you'd have on each side? Yeah,
I mean, I don't really care. Like it's more if you were going to intentionally do it, say 5 or 6 total players, but it doesn't really matter if it's 3 and 3 or 4 and 2.
You're going to end up with game stacks in this game with 3 and 3 no matter what.
Right. Yeah. You don't need to even set a rule for it, but yeah, there's no like specific set amount. Just like there's no reason that saying Levine plus Vooch plus Caruso is, but like I don't want White, I want Ingles. Like it doesn't matter there, like whether so let's say you're playing like Drew, Allen, Vooch, Levine, White. It doesn't matter if the final piece is Dosunmu or Ingles or whatever. Like if it's 4-2, 3-3, it doesn't matter.
I guess the only thing would be like, do you want a 4-1 on this slate where
it depends who it is? Like Giannis plus 4 Bulls, sure.
Yeah, sure, exactly. I was thinking like 4-1 Bucks Bulls, but then you get into that territory. Then it gets a little bit sketchy because you're paying premium for Giannis and for Drew. But with the Bulls, right? Like, does it matter at all?
No? Right. Yeah, and I mean even that. Like, let's say you go Giannis, Drew, but then like Allen is cheap, Ingles is cheap. So let's say it's those 4 guys. It's not like Drew's overpriced either, and neither is Giannis, but he's at least expensive. And then like let's say Levine is the guy from the Bulls. Like if that game's competitive, you could very easily get Levine just torching Milwaukee and then all 4 Milwaukee pieces looking good. I think if you were going 4-1, you're going to get more versions of it being 4 Bulls and Giannis or 4 Bulls and Drew. But especially on a 3-game slate, I don't really care how it breaks down specifically.
For sure. Arthur said, just started watching the videos, learned a ton. Thank you, Adam. Been winning on cash games lately following your Contenders series. He is talking to Josh. You have a good Contenders series.
I see why you got confused, because he's implying that he's winning based on Josh's advice. No. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
I wasn't confused. I was just hoping you go along with it.
Yeah, I wanted to insult Josh instead of going along with it.
gonna use the winnings to grab the prize picks deal after the All-Star break. Dude, don't do it after the All-Star. What are you gonna do during the All-Star break? Sit on your hands? You got everything. You got golf, you got NHL, you got MMA, you got soccer. You do it now and use the tools, man. Don't sit around, waste time. Get a nice little week of all these other sports that you can learn with the tools for free, and then do it. And then you still have 3+ weeks of NBA. That's the way to do it, Arthur. I'm telling you right now, that's the play. You guys are going to be bored as shit over the next 6 days. I bet you got a list of things you're going to do too, make the wife happy, spend more time with the kids. Horseshit. You're gonna be like, I need to do something. Yeah. And if you don't know the tools, you don't have the tools. If you don't know the game, how you gonna win? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Jordan, the scratch is just my way of you're itching that scratch. Stop acting like I'm telling the chat that everyone needs to go do heroin. Okay. Not everyone's a fentanyl addict, Jordan. God.
I missed most of what you just said, but I just came back for the important part. So
I'll always rope you back in, brother. All right. Anything else for Chicago?
This break just got a lot more fun taking your advice.
Anybody else for Chicago you want to talk? We will not have sponsors left by the time I'm done working here. Go ahead. Anything else?
No, I mean, I think we touched on it all. Like Drummond, and obviously it's come up a ton in chat. In a normal game, like Vooch is likely to play a ton of minutes here. In a normal game, you're probably getting like 12 minutes from Drummond, maybe less, because he typically is just going to back up Vooch, and Vooch is going to play more minutes because they need his offensive skill set out there even more when DeRozan's not playing. But Drummond is always, when Drummond's going to get the backup center minutes and he's low owned, he's always appealing just because Vooch foul trouble means Drummond ends up being really good by itself. But then there's also, the chance it's a back-to-back. Maybe Vooch plays 34 instead of 38 and you're getting 14 from Drummond. Maybe, like I said, there's some chance you get like 2 minutes next to each other and Drummond gets up to, 14, 16 minutes that way. So it's basically just the same Drummond play as usual, except with like a couple additional low probability paths to get to those minutes. But the big thing is just that he's going to be backup center because there's no Derek Jones, there's no Caruso. So and there's no DeRozan. So the whole thing with, is Drummond going to play or not play, like we talked about earlier in the year, that's alleviated when Derek Jones is out and when, other guys are out because you have to move up a position and Drummond has to play the backup center.
All right, let's talk Washington, Minnesota. Blitz, that's a hell of a comment. Yeah, you sit on your hands till they're numb, then do your thing, but can't feel it. So it's a strain. Yeah, we know what the stranger is. The stranger never made any sense to me. To me, it's a horrible, horrible thought. You know what the stranger is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who wants to be like flopping all around? I mean, you'll strain something. It's a horrible idea. I tell you what, they're talking about numb. You ever sit on the can too long because everyone has a smartphone and your legs start to go numb?
My legs like do that randomly.
Okay, so
even sitting like at my desk.
I know it's time to get up when the legs start to tingle. One time, I fell straight into the wall. It's like 35 minutes straight into the wall. It's dangerous, man. Before an iPhone, you were in and out. It was no luxury in there. Now you sit down, you don't come out till the sun's down. So times have changed. All right. Hey, super chat, and then we'll talk about this Washington game. Washington. Where is that, Jordan? Was that all the way up, or is that new? Is that new? There, I got it. What's up? I got it. DNC. What? What? Oh, okay. Thanks. Is there a number of remaining salary on a slate like this that would make you feel uneasy? That's a good question, Adam.
I didn't see it. Is there a number? No. I mean, yes, but like I'm not going to build lineups. Like I won't get lineups that make me uneasy based on how much salary is left. Like I'm still mostly going to be getting close to the cap because it's NBA and it's tough not to. But yeah, if I build a lineup, like if the lineup shows up and grades out well for me, if it's 49-3 or 49-4 instead of 49-8, like I don't care that much.
All right. Josh Engelman, just so combative. All right. So combative. And then we have one more from, all right. White and I assume are fine in the same single entry lineup. Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. From Devin, by the way. Thanks, guys. Appreciate all the super chats. Josh. Washington at Minnesota. The Washington Wizards today. Pretty healthy team right now, right? So I guess we could start there. They're 3-point dogs, 235 total. Coming off of that first game we talked about, it's not going to be as appealing. Of course, you still have guys like Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps Porzingis, Bradley Beal, the big three on this team, and then it thins out. But it's not, are you playing these guys? Because on such an abbreviated set of games you are, but are you having any trouble getting to a lot of these guys from a priority standpoint?
Yes, in that they aren't going to look as good as the guys from Milwaukee or Chicago, and that's why you're seeing less ownership. They're still relatively popular. 28% on DraftKings coming into a $7,900 Kuzma, 22% coming into Porzingis at 9,200, 15 coming into Beal at 7,700. They all look like good plays here. A good spot against Minnesota as well. They're just not the same level of play as the guys from the Chicago-Milwaukee game, because this is essentially a healthy Washington team. The only guys on the injury report are Will Barton, who is in buyout discussions and not a part of this rotation, and Isaiah Todd, who is not a part of this rotation. So you have a fully healthy Washington team. They're just not going to compare to Milwaukee, Chicago, potentially Minnesota, depending on the news there, in terms of prioritization. But there are still good plays here, those three in particular. But it's also a good team to get to for tournaments, because once you move beyond Kuzma, Porzingis, Beal, typically on 3-game slates, it's tough to get like sub 10% owned guys that are actually viable, and that you're not just saying like, oh, well, if A, B, and C random things happen, then maybe this guy will be good. But you do get that from Washington here. You have a $4,800 Monte Morris likely playing 28 to 30 minutes at 9% owned. You have a 5K Daniel Gafford at 8% owned, coming off of a game where he just played 15 minutes, but it's because he picked up 5 fouls in those 15 minutes. If he avoids foul trouble, you're likely getting 23, 24 minutes here. If he's playing well, you certainly could get more. And he's only 5K at low ownership. That's at least somewhat appealing. Delon Wright's pulling 5% ownership at 4,100. He closed alongside Monte Morris last game. Morris played 28 minutes in a game that Wright played 29. There's no guarantee they go with that lineup again. You could certainly get more minutes from Corey Kispert. You could get more from Denny Avdia, but we know that they're willing to play Wright and Morris together. And at 4,100 and no ownership, I think Wright's a very good way to be different in tournaments within, any given lineup. Avdia, at 5,100, not getting much ownership either. So there are guys from this team you can get to in tournaments that I think are just going a little bit lower owned than they probably should, or at the very least, even if you want to say that they're pretty much correctly owned, given that you do have such better value plays from that Milwaukee game, at the very least, they are guys that within one, a tournament lineup here and there, you can say like, all right, well, I have all these popular plays. I need to do something different. I'll go to like DeLon Wright instead of White here, for example.
Dude, Josh, I can't look at his last comment. It's just that he's out of control right now, dude. Out of control. I don't even know who he's talking about. I'd beat the soul out of that soft cock.
Wait, what?
Read Josh's last comment.
Oh, I hadn't seen that one. I just saw the one where he said he couldn't count to 48.
No. He said, oh, why is it?
How did that come up?
I can't even concentrate. He's out of control. All right. All right. All right. All right. I'm done. God, that was good. I had no idea what was going on. I'm just reading a beat the soul out of that.
I saw you laughing while I was talking. I was like, God, I hope this is like Josh in chat or something and not me. Like,
no, you didn't say anything wrong. That's what it was. Also, Jordan opened up a message that was screened. Open. Oh, that wasn't you? Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry, guys. Please accept the apology. It's almost All-Star break. It's a 3-game slate. Let's have some fun. We got plenty of time. It's 3 games. We'll get there, no problem. All right. Everyone says that like certain people in chat are good for engagement. Josh is good for engagement. Talk about
Josh is good for engagement in chat the same way I'm good for engagement on Twitter.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess it's all the same, right? I don't know. All right. He just like balkanizes the chat into two groups. One of them's with him and the other's totally against him.
Is anybody really with him? Typically, it's just like Group A tolerates him and Group B just hates him.
I don't know at this point. No, I think there's some people that ride with Josh. Yeah. Careful. He's going to start coming for you next. He beat the soul out of you soft cucks out there. All right. Rudy Gobert on the other side, 6,200. This price continues to, sit at an area where he's, put it this way. Rudy Gobert's just, once the salary gets to this point, it's always going to keep you coming around for more. Like you're going to keep hanging around. It's the cheapest he's been. My guess is this is the cheapest he's been all season. Let's see.
It's got to be.
It is. Cheapest he's been all year. Shit, dude, he opened the season up at north of 9K 4 games into the year. He's down to 6,200, but he's played 30 minutes in back-to-back games. I mean, I know it hasn't been the most impressive season from him, but 6,200 still and I know he hasn't played that well recently. 6,200 is just too cheap if he's going to play 30 minutes. Yeah,
it is. And I also think that you're going to see increased production from him going forward now that you have Mike Conley there. One of the big issues you've had with Gobert offensively this year, obviously everybody laughs, mocks his offense, but he's an extremely efficient scorer. So every field goal attempt that he gets is really valuable in DFS, but you had a point guard in D'Angelo Russell who from counts after he left just was not interested in figuring out how to get Rudy Gobert the ball or how to play offense with Rudy Gobert at all. Now you have Mike Conley, who's had years experience with him, knows, where to throw him the ball, how to get it to him inside, and should just make him better offensively. So I think going forward, you're going to see a more productive Rudy Gobert. And even if this was still D'Angelo Russell, 6,200 is too cheap of a price tag, but I do think he's going to produce at a better rate going forward than he has so far this year. And he hasn't been bad on a point per minute, from a point per minute standpoint this year. Anyway, if you're going to get, let's say 30 to 32 minutes here, he's certainly going to look good. If he's out, you should be getting Naz Reid starting at 4K. He's going to look excellent. So one way or the other, whoever's starting at center for Minnesota looks like a priority today.
Okay. Hannah with the super chat. Thanks, Hannah. Who's your favorite plays on DraftKings tiers on each tier? I don't know.
I can try and figure it out quickly, but I have absolutely no idea.
I assume we could pull it up with only 3 games and figure it out pretty quickly.
So tier 1 is Edwards, Porzingis, Vooch. That would be Edwards. Booker, George, Kawhi, Levine, probably Levine. And this is without, I'm just thinking in terms of projections. I have no idea how ownership really works in tiers, so I don't have a good feel for it. But Levine would be my second one. Drew, Kuzma, Beal, Ayton, Paul. It's close. I think I'd go Drew. Gobert.
Ayton's been crushing lately, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, tier 4, 3 guys aren't playing. It's Gobert by a million. And if he's out, then I guess it's Brook Lopez. Tier 5, I would go Conley, and tier 6, holy shit, who are these guys? Tier
Dosunmu.
6, I guess I would
or
go.
White.
What?
Dosunmu or White?
Yeah, like probably Dosunmu or White.
I mean, who else would it be? Maybe
if Kyle Anderson started.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It could be McDaniels. But
all right.
Yeah, so we out of that group, we have Dosunmu and White as the winners. Actually, yeah, Patrick Williams is actually our third there. But we have Dosunmu and then White.
All right. Well, yeah, no, Tanks, it wasn't trying to get the whole lineup built for. I mean, that only took that took less time than it does for you to answer most super chats that are like lineup strategy questions. So no sweat there. Appreciate the support. Also appreciate that we're about to crush 500 likes, 422, 2,400 people watching, heading into the All-Star break. I mean, listen, could you ask for anything better than this heading into the last game before we have a little respite from the NBA and we got to talk NHL and all that good stuff? Of course not. So appreciate you. We'll get there. I know it. Atone for your sins if you have yet to do so. Outside of Gobert, Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley, Jaden McDaniels, Edwards' price has come down to a far more palatable level to the like 10-2 that he was at last week.
Yeah, great price point on Edwards here. Shooting guard, small forward as well. Second highest projected guy on the slate behind Giannis, who is just absolutely in a tier of his own. Edwards looks fantastic. I see no reason you wouldn't want to get a lot of him. 39.5% ownership on DraftKings, 41% optimal percentage. He just looks great.
Who else do you want to get to when it comes to this Minnesota squad?
Yeah, so I mean, there's value here as well. Mike Conley, 32.5 minutes last game, 5,200, pulling 36% ownership. No real issue with that. This morning, he was at about 50%. I said I thought that was a little bit too high, but that's come down a bit. I think he's about where he should be now. You know, he's not the most exciting player offensively because he's not a great scorer at this point, but still very involved in terms of assists. He's been about a fantasy point per minute guy for the year. I don't see any reason to expect that to really change in Minnesota. So I still think that's a good price tag on him. You have Jaden McDaniels at 4,300, who is just like a last guy in type piece where you're not excited about getting to him, but he can help round out your lineup. Then you get like a group of guys where you don't know exactly how the rotation is going to break, but there is potential for them. Last game, we had Taurean Prince start with Kyle Anderson coming off the bench. You got about 22 minutes from Prince. You got 24 from Anderson. I don't know if they keep Anderson on the bench today or not. If Anderson starts, I really like him at 4,600. If he comes off the bench, I still like him because he's not going to project as well, but he's also only projected for 7% ownership, which makes it appealing, knowing that he could conceivably play, 26 minutes or so off the bench. You have Jalen Noel at 3,600 playing anywhere from like 15 to 22 minutes. He's not a safe option at all, but he's 5% owned, and he's someone that we know can get hot off the bench and knock down a bunch of shots. Naz Reid at 4K. I mean, if he's starting for Gobert, he's probably the best play on the slate. But even coming off the bench, if Gobert plays 30 minutes, you could get 18 from Reid. Last game, he only played 12 and a half. You got some smaller lineups as well, but against a Washington team that's likely to have Gafford and Porzingis out there a lot, I think you probably get a few more minutes from Naz Reid, and he's a good point per minute guy. McLaughlin's 3K and getting 2% ownership, probably just playing whatever minutes Mike Conley doesn't. So the bench pieces here, you're not confident in any of them, but they do have a lot of good point per minute guys in a good matchup at low ownership.
Favorite play from either side of this game,
Anthony
outside of Rudy Gobert?
Gobert and Edwards.
Okay. All right, so Edwards. Got it. Hey, we got one game to go. Then we're turning this one over to the boys. Boys coming up for Live Before Lock to close out it's not even the first half of the season. These teams have played like what, 50, 57?
I think there's like a third of the season left.
Yeah, like 57, 58 games already or something. Live Before Lock next, though. Greg Ehrenberg, Eric Lindquist. Of course, you got Jordan Klein, the illustrious Jordan Klein behind the glass. He's a good man. Say hi to throw on producer Cam for a second and say hi. Give him a wink. Give him a wink and a nod and a smile and a wave. There he is. There he is. Old Jordan Klein. Don't blink, you'll miss him. All right. Anyway. Let's wrap this one up with the last game on the slate. Before we do, though, very excited to be authorized partner of SoRare, and one of the first places that you'll find a bonus offer for SoRare as well. Live Before Live, Greg and Eric are doing a segment on this for the All-Star break. They got some sick All-Star game contests coming up as well. Plus, it's NBA and a lot of other stuff over there. But SoRare NBA. If you sign up for a new SoRare account, I've been playing the free ones lately, actually, seeing if I collect any cards. Sign up for a new SoRare NBA account using our link, right? It's in the description. Jordan can throw it in the chat. You'll get a one free limited card after completing your first 5 card purchases on the primary market. Doesn't have to be expensive. It can be whatever card you want. Then you're getting a limited card, which they're limited. They're rare. Limited cards are typically purchased in the marketplace or won as rewards for high placement in tournaments, and they help unlock the ability to participate in different tournaments, right? Not just the beginner ones. Getting a free limited card is a massive perk for signing up. The limited cards are one of only 5,000 tracked on the Ethereum blockchain, so you always know exactly how many cards are in circulation. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. I've been playing it. I had a few people tweet at me that they broke, because you get a starter pack when you sign up. So if you use the link, even if ultimately you decide that you don't want to deposit any money or you don't want to buy any cards, you get a starter pack. You get to pick an MVP. So like Giannis or LeBron, the clear pick is Giannis there, because I don't think Luka was one of them. Giannis, clear pick. And then you get a starter pack with like 20 cards or something like that, 15 cards or whatever it is. And you might hit some good ones. A few people did. And it set them up nicely. And then they just kept winning in all the common contests, the beginner contests. So yeah, even if you decide like, hey, this isn't for me, I don't think I'm going to deposit. I don't think I'm going to buy any cards. Get the free pack, right? Get the starter pack, play in the free ones. But dude, you can sell these cards too if you land some good ones. So check it out. And if you do decide that you want to make 5 card purchases on the primary market, as little or as much as you'd like to spend, you get a free limited card. And like we said, we're one of the only places you're going to find a bonus offer for So Rare. So Rare NBA, baby, check it out. Links in the description and in chat. NBA, building lineups with the cards, all tracked on the Ethereum blockchain. So Rare, sponsor of the Deeper Dive. And like I said, later on, Greg and Eric got something for you as well. All right, let's close this one out. Last final game on the slate, Clippers and the Phoenix Suns. So Clippers are without Norman Powell tonight. Aside from that, though, everything is the way it should be. Is this the least appealing team on the slate collectively?
I think so. The thing that is appealing about them is that there are some unknowns. So you can kind of hope to run good in tournaments because we don't have Norman Powell. So, and we have essentially a new Clippers team. So when you look at the ownership here, $4,600 Terrence Mann pulling 5%, $3,700 Bones Highland pulling 7%, $3K Nick Batum pulling 2%, $4,700 Eric Gordon pulling 1%. Most likely, none of those guys end up really being useful here, but you do have 25 minutes that opened up from last game that Norman Powell played that we don't know how they're going to be allocated. Most likely, you're just going to see all of those guys play enough where they're not really exciting fantasy options and nobody goes crazy. But, you know, what happens if Bones Highland does go from his like 14 minutes outside of garbage time to like 20 and he's 3,700 without ownership? Or Eric Gordon, you know, played 22 minutes last game. What if he just plays 28 now? You know, suddenly he looks okay. So there is the potential for any of these guys to just play more than they're projected for because we have no real basis for these minutes projections outside of just educated guessing. We can't go back and look at another game and say like, oh yeah, this is the rotation that the Clippers are going to run in this situation because they've never done it before. And we don't even know what the normal rotation really is for guys like Highland or Gordon at this point. Also at the center spot, last game, you got 28 minutes from Ivica Zubac. You got 17 minutes from Plumlee, and then you had a few minutes of garbage time. So basically you're getting a 48-minute center rotation. Ivica Zubac at 5,300 right now, pulling 6.5% ownership. Mason Plumlee at 5,400, pulling none. What happens if this becomes a game where Plumlee plays really well and plays 26 minutes and Zubac plays 22, or Zubac gets in foul trouble, so Plumlee plays 24 to 26? Like, there is volatility and uncertainty here that you can use to your advantage in large field tournaments, but there's none of those guys that, like, specifically, I think you should be pointing to and saying like, oh yeah, this is definitely the guy. Like, I don't think you should be confident that you know exactly how this rotation is going to go. I sure as hell don't, but that's what makes it appealing in tournaments, is just sort of taking shots at these guys and hoping one of them kind of breaks free. Outside of those bench guys, Kawhi and George obviously are fine to get to. I think they're guys that you use basically as pivots away from Anthony Edwards within given lineups. Edwards projects better. You certainly expect him to play more minutes, but you're still getting 32 to 34 minutes typically from George. You're getting 34 to 36 from Kawhi. They are getting a lot less ownership. So if you have a lineup where you just have a bunch of really popular plays, you can move from Edwards to one of them, for example, and still get a high ceiling, even if the median projection is lower. And Marcus Morris, I think, is interesting. Only 23 minutes last game, but typically has been playing more recently. He's 4K flat, only pulling 14% ownership. So there's no priorities here, but kind of like Washington, it's just still an interesting team because it's a 3-game slate and there's some volatility in the bench minutes. And then with the starters, you do at least have, you know, guys that certainly have ceilings.
You already answered the question before I asked it when you had said like you don't really have confidence what the rotation will look like, but just to spin it a little bit differently, how much did last game on Tuesday, right, where we saw these guys active for the first time following the trade deadline? How much did that tell us? Like 1 being not much at all, 10 being a ton.
As far as, so what did the rotation last game tell us?
Like, yeah, like as far as what we should be expecting.
Not so like 4 or 5, because
okay.
So like there's one takeaway that I think you can feel good about is that you essentially got a 48-minute rotation from Zubac and Plumlee. So like I am reading into that. As far as like Highland, Gordon, Batum, I don't think you can read too much into that because for one, it was just one game, but for two, you had Norman Powell out there for 25 minutes. So who knows what's going to happen there? They could add somebody else to the rotation. Like who knows? So from that part, I don't think you can read into it too much. And that's why I was saying that like in tournaments, it's kind of appealing just from a volatility standpoint. I do think you can read into the Zubats and Plumlee part, but that also makes it appealing in tournaments because combined, they're getting 6% ownership.
We had a question. Yeah. Okay. Good answer. Rosa Music. What's up, man? Sup, fellas? Low owned play with high boom percentage on DraftKings. Let's see. By the way, you get 50% off any package that you want, any subscription, no matter what it is. If you go to the link down there and it take you to the landing page for all of our subscriptions, 50% off everything, no matter what package it is you decide on, whether it's a week or a month, doesn't matter. One sport, all sports, you're getting half off of everything. So when we're talking about ownership and the boom bust tool and the projections and the lineup generator, which has been crushing, you're getting 50% off everything. So yeah, referencing the boom bust tool now, I'm just looking at it like high boom percentage on low owned players, Adam. There's not a lot of low owned players with high boom percentages. Like Naz Reid is probably the closest you're going to get, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what you're talking about low owned as well. But
well, like Ayton, I guess you could say.
Right, I was going to say, like, does Ayton count?
I think so. Yeah, why not? 20% on a 3-game slate. He's been smashing too.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Paul in the same boat. 14% at 17%. If you're talking like actual low owned, then you're getting down to like the Andre Drummond type guys, just hoping that, Vooch gets in foul trouble or something.
Yeah, I'd say real low owned, probably Drummond, and then low owned for a 3-game slate, DeAndre Ayton. Have you been playing DeAndre Ayton at all recently? The guy's low owned every game and he's having great performances. So just continues to stack up monster 20-10 double doubles. All right. Anything else for the Clippers? You want to wrap this one up with the Suns?
No, I think we wrap it up with Phoenix.
All right, let's do it. You looking forward to this vacation, man? You going to Georgia?
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm trying to figure out how to stay an extra weekend because a couple of my friends are going to be there the next weekend, but I don't know yet what I'm going to do.
Oh, man. Hey, good luck. You know what I mean? Good luck. All right. Josh Okogie, 22%. Ayton, we talked about Ayton at 20%. That price is still kind of reasonable on someone like him. I actually don't mind starting with Ayton, just given that, 30 minutes per game is what he's averaged on the season. His minutes have kind of been in flux too, like 35, 31, 35, 30, 30, 37 last game. I suppose, you have to come in somewhere around like 32 today, but how much do you like him at this price point, given that his ownership isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I like him in tournaments. Like the ownership to me makes sense. He's obviously a good play. He's coming off of a game where he just played like 37 minutes. I don't think you expect that again, but nice to see it happen.
What do you project him for? 32, right?
31, 32.
Yeah.
But obviously a really good point per minute guy. The reason the ownership isn't higher is just that you have Levine playing without DeRozan. You have Vooch without DeRozan. You have Gobert/Reed. If Gobert is out, you could actually see an increase in Ayton's ownership if Gobert is out because people will be playing Reed at power forward and it's going to open up a center spot. But if Gobert is in, that's another just clear center that is underpriced, whereas Ayton is closer to correctly priced. So it's a good way to differentiate. Like we were just saying, he's getting 20% ownership, but you have to keep in mind, everything's relative. This is a 3-game slate where you have a ton of guys getting more ownership than that. So it's not a play that like if DeAndre Ayton hits, you're just by yourself at the top of a tournament, but it is a high upside way to start to differentiate your lineup. So Chris Paul, I think, is in that same boat. He's 8K. He's getting 17% ownership. That's not nothing, but it's a hell of a lot less than Drew Holiday is getting for $400 less. Holiday clearly projects better, but Chris Paul's very good in his own right. He's going to beat Drew Holiday a decent percent of the time. Josh Okogie's pulling the most ownership here, but even that is just 22%. He's coming off of a game where he played nearly 40 minutes. I don't expect that to happen very often, but I think expecting around 30 to 32 minutes from him makes sense. Right now we have him projected for 31. He's a good point per minute guy. He's still reasonably priced. He has shooting guard, small forward eligibility. So any of those guys I think look good. And then you get into the lower owned tournament plays where it's really tough to get to Devin Booker at 8,900 coming off of a 30-minute game, knowing he's been limited, but it's still Devin Booker. I mean, let's say the guy plays 31, 32 minutes. He can go nuts. Probably won't, but 8% own Devin Booker on a 3-game slate, you can certainly at least make the case for it. I don't think I'll get much of it. Torrey Craig at 4,500, 30 minutes last game. Not an exciting play, but 7% ownership for somebody playing 30 minutes is reasonable. So 8 and Paul Okogie, certainly the guys I expect you to get to the most here. But then you do get some guys that are at least somewhat interesting at low ownership.
All right. Hey, let's wrap this up with a couple super chats. Nelson with the member for 15 months, my man. If you want, and by the way, appreciate you guys getting us over 500 likes. Crush that. We're at 550. We're in business tonight, heading into the break. Any good prop picks tonight? All right. So first thing I did was went over to the NBA Bet Pro tool. You did a video on it today as well. Last time I asked you, didn't remember what your picks were, but
still don't.
We have Eric. Okay, so let me sort by. Okay,
so it's a lot of the similar stuff from earlier. Right now, Eric Gordon on BetMGM under 11.5 points at minus 125. That's the similar line across books. It's just the best prices on BetMGM. That's one where I'd probably be a little bit more cautious with how much you bet compared to what the model's recommending, just because of that volatility I was describing when we talked about the Clippers. But it's clearly a good bet. It's just a matter of how aggressive you want to be with it. But that one's showing up.
I like the Sunmu over assists as well. I just think with the backcourt so limited. What's that?
I said, yeah, that one looks good.
Yeah, just with the backcourts as limited as it is, if he plays even close to what he got last game, the opportunities are going to be there. Did you have another one?
So we have the next one after. Well, we also have the under on Eric Gordon threes. Same kind of thing. Obviously, this is based on our assumption of the rotation, which is educated guessing. But we have the under on 3-pointers there. We have the under on 4.5 rebounds for Devin Booker on BetMGM.
Hank, the videos, my betting videos, his betting videos are all on our Odd Shopper channel. All of our betting content's over on the Odd Shopper channel. And the NBA Bet Pro tool, bookmark this because it's free for the first week. Bookmark the link. Use that next Thursday. Get the free week. Get basketball every day. Entire first week is free. Tool's been crushing. And then we'll close it with this, Adam. Old Rat. Love that name. And free super chat member for 16 months. One-upping Nelson there. Okay, here's a cool question to close the show out. We'll turn this over to Greg and Eric. Got Stokastic Hall of Fame coming up during the intermission as well. Do I lock in Giannis in 3 entries, or should I have one balanced lineup on DraftKings?
I mean, I'll probably just have Giannis, but I don't think that it's something it's just not how I approach it. I'm not going to go into my 3 max today saying I need to make sure I have Giannis in all of them, or I need to make sure I don't have Giannis in one. For me, whatever shows up as far as what I think the best 3 lineups are, I'm just going to go with. I don't think it matters.
All right. Hey, appreciate you guys. Enjoy the break. Like I said, 50% off everything on the site, whatever subscription you want. If you decide that you're not trying to sit on your hands, not trying to give yourself a stranger, you'd rather, be able to make lineups with that good hand. And you want 50% off, whether it's NHL, whether it's MMA, PGA Showdown, whatever it is. There's a ton of sports still happening despite the NBA All-Star break. Link to everything in the description and in chat. Hey, otherwise, enjoy the break. Adam and I'll see you back here for basketball next week. Adam, enjoy Georgia, brother. Have fun.
Will do.
Jordan, shout out to you. Stick around. Greg and Eric coming up next. Peace. Yo, it's that time of week again. We're inducting you fine people into the Stokastic Hall of Fame, giving out some Stokastic Plus Platinum memberships in the process, and all you got to do to get involved. Download the Stokastic profile picture at stokastic.com/avatar. Tweet your wins at Stokastic HOF on Twitter. It's Stokastic Hall of Fame. Get a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. Get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, and you're in. Just like our pal Rajal, who said lineup generator plus boom bust tool plus lineup builder. All of those tools over at Stokastic, by the way, equals money. Got a $10,000 win. Saw the other Stokastic in first place for $100K, and a $50,000 win on the Tuesday NBA shot, the Thursday NBA clutch shot. Monster wins there from Rajal. Love that the tools are working for you. And again, the lineup generator does it again. Almost took it down. Glad one of our guys won at least. This team rocks. Yeah, nice showing for Stokastic in the Thursday NBA clutch shot. And then Rick, thanks for all the tools. Second place in a contest of about 6,000. That gets you the free month, brother. Rick with the $4,000 win there in the 50K chain mover. And then how about David Burton? What's up, man? Let's go. Took down the $12 single entry on DK. We're back in the game. Little $2,000 win there for David Burton. And in a 15K Monday NHL breakaway, grade A picks. Been on a nice little heater on Prize Picks and FanDuel. Props to the NHL Stokastic staff. Arden from Yonkers. Congrats, man. $4,000 right there going to Arden. And then Joe Herm with the $10,000 win. Woke up to this. Let's go. At Stokastic Hall of Fame. Huge win. Congrats, Joe. How about Chris? $1,000 first place in the 10K mini max. Not easy to win that. And then Timmy, I'm not going to pronounce that last name, but finally get that free month, $500 second place in the sharpshooter. Congrats, Timmy. Great stuff. And Avi, thanks, gang, for the advice and support. Couldn't do it without you. Almost 2K there in the big game ball. Followed up by Dave Oliver. 1,500 here. Little hockey action. Thank you guys for your great NHL content. The best. Check out my NHL lineup on FanDuel. Can you build a better team? And mind you, with the NBA All-Star break coming up, we got NHL tools and NHL strategy shows every day of the week. So stick around for that, even when NBA is not there. All right, Brendan for Buffalo, too. And another one. Well, Prize Picks. He's been crushing on Prize Picks. $10 in the 250 right there in a 6-picks flex play. And Bambo, $400. What is that? First place out of 25,000 there. Took down the fadeaway last night on FanDuel. How about a free month? A little aggressive, but yes, you will get it. We're men of our word. And the Ultimate Fight Show, awesome, great, awesome parlay hit for the Ultimate Fight Show. Want to thank the folks at Stokastic. 240 into over 3,000. Congrats to all of you. Remember, stokastic.com/avatar. Use that avatar wherever it is you play. Tweet your wins at Stokastic Hall of Fame. Get inducted into the Hall of Fame right now.
No, it's a whole, I think it's 9 days.
What?
It's a while. Who knows? Yeah,
Literally, it's less than, no, I work Tuesday. Got to make that golf. It's golf.
It's a massive number of days. We count
Big, huge number of days.
What is going on, everybody? It is time for the Stokastic NBA Live Before Lock Show, and I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's slate, because we're going to have one for a little bit. The NBA has gone for an indeterminate amount of time because of the NBA All-Star break. Nobody could figure it out. We were trying to figure it out in between break. Nobody knows. It's impossible. Absolutely impossible to figure out. I had one opinion. Eric had another. Jordan had an opinion. It's tough to say. But what we do know is that we've got a 3-game NBA slate tonight, and then the NBA is going to be going on a hiatus. So as you guys come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and shout out to So Rare, who is not only sponsoring our show today, but also running contest over the NBA All-Star weekend. So Eric and I are going to be talking about that a little bit. And it's very much based on who's going to win some of the skills competitions, which I think is kind of fun to speculate. So we could also tie in So Rare and a betting angle to it together. So that's something we're going to talk about later. And I'll be curious to hear what you guys also think. If you have any takes in the chat about who you think is going to win the different skills competitions and stuff for NBA All-Star weekend. But Eric, 3-game slate tonight. How are you doing? And how are you feeling about our time off?
Can I get a Mac McClung card? Is that a thing that I can go get? He's not even in the NBA. He's in the dunk contest. I feel like we're not even trying anymore with the dunk contest, are we? Like it's dead, right?
So he's also like a professional dunker. Like,
yes,
I don't even understand why he's allowed to do it. because he should be way better at this than anybody else.
It's like bringing a sniper to a BB gun competition. Like the sniper's going to win.
Well, yeah, but nobody's going to get injured.
It's like, well, I guess nobody important is going to get injured because if Mac McClung tries to jump over 2 Toyotas or what was it, 2 Kias, he'll probably still be okay. But if he gets hurt, if he dies, he dies.
Yeah, like it's like bringing a grenade to a dinner party. Not exactly, Eric. Like there's not exactly like high stakes involved here. We're not bringing a nuke to like a social media website.
Don't say
or anything
that word.
Like that.
Don't say that word. I'll get you in trouble.
So the other thing too is I can't bet on the dunk contest in New Jersey for whatever reason. It's not available to me. I actually think. Yeah, it's very weird. For whatever reason, I've messaged support about it. It's not offered in New Jersey. I actually think, based on the opening lines, I know it's moved a little bit. I thought there was a lot of value on McClung, actually.
He was by far. Anytime you're bringing somebody from the rafters where he's so good at the thing that you're willing to bypass the fact that he hasn't played in an NBA game this season, pretty wild stuff. Congratulations to his G League appearances and Summer League appearances. That must have been enjoyable. But he is so good at dunking. I don't think people know what they're in for, but I think he's a cheat code.
Yeah, so we'll end up seeing what happens. And once again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But no, McClung is not available on So Rare. So that's also something
I just looked for it.
Yeah, it's going to shape some of the decisions that I'd be making about players I think are most optimally to play in that contest. But before we get there, we've got this 3-game NBA slate that we've also got to break down. As far as injuries are going, it's only 3 games. So we don't have that many guys that are questionable right now. The obligatory Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson are questionable. They have to be questionable every day? Why are they doing this to us?
I don't know. This is like, the problem is it's not quite LeBron James and Anthony Davis territory yet, because there are times Gobert just sits randomly. We've had it happen a number of times. So it's more of a headache there. I at least know what to do if he's out. I don't really know exactly what my game plan is if Kyle Anderson's out here, considering the new situation there. Minnesota shipped out a couple of pieces there. Do I really want to go to Taurean Prince there at 3,200 in bulk? I think I probably have to if Kyle Anderson's rolled out, but I guess it's just kind of a wait-see approach. We've also seen them put Naz Reid in the starting lineup next to Gobert sometimes when Kyle Anderson's out. So it might be a preload Naz Reid kind of situation to a certain extent, but for a 3-game slate, this is an awfully good one with decent spots to be looking at in tournaments.
Yeah, and we're going to be breaking down all that. If you guys have any questions, throw them into the YouTube chat, throw them into Discord. We should be able to get to everybody's questions today. It should be just a 3-game slate where we could be, a little bit more liberal in terms of what we answer because of just the amount of, number one.
You just isolated half of chat.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. But the question also, I think we will be able to look at the NBA lineup builder, do some, generate some lineups over the course of the show. A little bit more relaxed of a feeling when it's a 3-game slate. And also, I am assuming that Gobert and Kyle Anderson play.
I'm with you. Yeah, it's more of like preload Naz in the event that either one of them sits and there's a chance that it works out. But there are so many slates where I've just been tilted. Rudy Gobert gets hurt, and then Naz Reid, for whatever reason, is 10-15% on those slates, and I just have 0. I think it's more of I'm sick of that happening to me. So again, might preload a little bit.
Yeah, and 2 of the more positive leverage players in our boom bust tool, Naz Reid and Andre Drummond. So definitely some of our data likes them as far as tournament plays go, not guys that we'd be looking at in cash games. But the other 2 pieces of injury news that we have, and these are players that are officially ruled out, but it is going to be very pertinent for tonight's slate. I want to start by asking about the Milwaukee Bucks because we don't have Chris Middleton. By the way, I have very much upset the Milwaukee Bucks fans on Twitter by saying that Nikola Jokic is the betting favorite to win the MVP this year, losing their minds in my replies. I'm getting replies nonstop from just the biggest morons on the planet right now. It is never ending. But
so you're loving it, is what you're saying.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. I had the most liked reply to me is somebody saying that you should not be allowed to win MVP if you take 9 shots per game. So my response is really takes 14 shots. And then the response from another Bucks fan is that's not enough. And I am just getting ratioed to hell on just this absolute idiocy. But anyway, Jokic is most likely going to win MVP this year. But for the Milwaukee Bucks today, Chris Middleton is out, and Giannis is the only pay-up option. So I want to break this down in a couple different ways. First off, how much are we going to prioritize Giannis? And then we'll talk about some of the other players that are going to benefit from the Bucks in the absence of Chris Middleton. But only one pay-up option on FanDuel and DraftKings today. It is Giannis, all the way at the high end, I mean. How are you going to handle him relative to his fairly high ownership right now?
Yeah, I'm only playing 20 lineups today, kind of taking it easy, enjoying the night, getting out, getting some fresh air, hitting a golf ball a little bit. Yeah, I know it's a crazy concept, but I was like, well, it should be easy to like set it, forget it to a certain extent with some lineups. I mean, we had the Norman Powell out, and otherwise we kind of know what to expect from the nightcap. I'll probably just do some hand swapping on different things depending on how my lineups are doing. But looking at Milwaukee, you just got to play Giannis. I don't see how you don't play a lot of Giannis. If I were playing more lineups, I would play about the same amount of Giannis. I have him in 80% of my lineups right now. I mean, it's just so hard to get away from the raw points on this kind of a slate, because what you're going to do is if he puts up over 50, like just 50, that could be one of the highest, if not the highest scorer on the slate today. Everybody else is projected south of 47. Now, I think it's unlikely that if he puts up 50, he's the highest scoring player on the slate. But like, knowing how live that is and how important it is to get raw points in, I don't see how you don't prioritize them. So I'm right around double the field and happy with it.
Yeah, so looking at the current ownership projections, we have Giannis over on DK projected for 42% ownership. I'm overweight to that mark, not like in a crazy way, but I am overweight to it. I've got Giannis right now in a little more than half of my lineups. And over on FanDuel, Giannis projected for 53% ownership. I'm almost right in line with the field in the lineups I've built out over on FanDuel. So as far as FanDuel is concerned, by the way, he's the second most popular player on this slate. Over on DraftKings, the fourth most popular player, and actually not even the most popular player on the Bucks. That honor goes to Jrue Holiday, 7,500. He's 43% owned on DK, so slightly more popular than Giannis, but not any kind of real crazy gap. Over on FanDuel, Holiday a little more expensive at 8,000. That has him being less popular than Giannis. Still, the 3-game slate, 44% ownership going to Jrue. If you could only roster one of Giannis or Holiday in a lineup, which would be your priority?
Giannis, not close. Not close. Because you have Io at point guard, you have Anthony Edwards that, plays shooting guard. You have, I'm just looking at like the lineup spots at guard. Kobe White, of course. Just go on and name them. There's a lot of spots to go to there. You get power forward center eligibility on Giannis. And unless I'm looking at this incorrectly, Kyle Kuzma is projected for around 27% ownership, but there isn't like another power forward that is remotely close to him. So with Jrue, Dosunmu, Kobe White, you can rotate through a lot of those pieces. They're all really, really good plays. We just saw such a crazy amount of minutes for Io and Kobe White yesterday, absent everybody. They're absent everybody again, outside of, Levine, Vooch, and we'll talk about them from a ceiling perspective. Feel like there's a lot of situations where I get to those two a lot on these type of slates. They've been on short slates where you just want to get to them because of the raw points they can give you. But make me pick one of the main studs on this slate. It's Giannis by a mile, and it's by a mile over Jrue Holiday, just because, again, that optimal percentage, you're getting positive leverage right now on Giannis on DraftKings and the boom bust tool. Give me that every time.
Yeah, I think that especially if we get a little bit more value to open up, like let's just say we happen to get Rudy Gobert ruled out, then you're really going to want to have more exposure to Giannis. And it is in the first game of the night, right? We're kicking it off with this. There's a chance we might not know whether Gobert and Kyle Anderson are in or out by the time that the Milwaukee game starts. If that's the case, that makes me want to get to even more Giannis, because I want to have that spend up option in there in case that additional value opens up. You can't go the reverse way. He's the only spend up option on the slate. If Giannis ends up having, like a pretty decent game in the first game of the night, you are going to want to get exposure to any of the cheap guys that could open up from Minnesota. So that's something else that's going to play into my decision-making here, is when or if do we have that Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson news? Because even though I said I think they play, I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the it's right before the All-Star break. You just kind of never know. But if you have tell me, I'm far more confident that they play than don't play.
Yeah, that's where I am as well, but also not a complete 100% outcome. Got a question from MJazz22 in our Discord channel. He's saying, if you absolutely had to fade one player over 45% on FanDuel, who would it be? And then who would you double the ownership on below 30%? So this is an easy way, because I could just look at the lineups I've built out for FanDuel and give you an answer based on that. Also, I want to refresh the ownership to make sure I'm looking at the most recent run. So FanDuel, if you had to completely fade one player over 45% owned on FanDuel, there's only a few of them. That is LaVine, Patrick Williams, Kobe White, Giannis, and Ayo Dosunmu. To be clear, I would not fade any of these guys today. If I had to pick one to fade, though, and Kobe White's negatively leveraged for us.
He'd be my pick.
Yeah,
coming off the bench, played fewer minutes than you saw Ayo play yesterday. There's a chance where, if he goes out and just doesn't make everything, that you're running into a buzzsaw, but it's pretty unlikely at 4,100. But if you made me pick one, I'd go him.
Yeah. Once again, the answer for me, Jazz, is really none of them. But Kobe White, if I had to, just based on what some of his ownership is and why I think there could be some inconsistency with his minutes. But there's so many players out in the back.
I understand the question, though, because if you're building one lineup, are you clicking on all of them together over and over like everybody else? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I get why all the ownership's going there. You could argue it's a little bit too much, but Dragic's out. DeRozan is out. Javonte Green remains out. Caruso's out. Like the available guards they have today, it's Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, LaVine, but he's just going to play basically the entire game as a guard / wing. And then, like Dalen Terry, whoever the hell that is. Are you going to take any shots on him?
Nope.
I think I might in large field tournaments. Not anything significant. I'm playing 150 tonight, though.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, then you can get that then. For me, I would rather take the shot on like a Bones Highland or something there later. But not feeling great about any of them.
And the next question we have in Discord comes from Miami High Life. He wants to know, who's the best DK GPP play under 4K?
The best? I mean, it's so relative. I mean, probably Joe Ingles, but he's pulling ownership.
If it's the player, so let's answer this two different ways. The one I'm getting the most exposure to is Grayson Allen. The one that I think is the best relative to ownership is I do like getting to Andre Drummond in large field GPPs at low ownership and his points per minute upside. It's a super high variance play. But if anything was to happen, like the game's a blowout and Drummond gets garbage time, or just Drummond has one of those games where he scores 2 fantasy points per minute, he's only 6% owned. So he's somebody I'm overweight to. But once again, like I get way more exposure to somebody like Grayson Allen.
Yeah, you kind of want to default to the guys who are actually good fantasy point per minute players where if they run into more minutes than you think, yay. And that's kind of my Bones Highland case at 3,700 at the identical number. He's probably the guy that I just relative to ownership would say, but he falls in that same category as Drummond, and Drummond is just an exponentially better fantasy producer. So don't completely hate that.
Now let's hit on some of these super chats. And where'd they go? I know they were here. Here we go. All right. So this question is from Ace of Spade. Best picks for DK tiers. I come prepared for this every single night now. I know what I'm doing. So running tier by tier, tier 1. Here's how weak tier 1 is today. The options we have, Eric, are Anthony Edwards, Vooch, and Porzingis. I like Edwards the most, but not the typical stars we see in tier 1. Giannis is so much better than everybody else. They didn't even include him in tier 1 because he would have been like 100% on. And you wouldn't have been able to make a case for anybody else.
Yeah, it would have been 95% Giannis against somebody there where you're looking for that ridiculous outcome. That kind of just speaks to why I think that he's just a set it and forget it kind of play on this slate. Again, 1.75 fantasy points per minute. He's awesome. But amongst those other ones, I'm probably going to go Ant-Man.
Yeah, so Edwards, and then I'll read off the next. So Edwards tier 1, LaVine tier 2 for me. In the absence of DeMar DeRozan, tier 3, Jrue Holiday. That is him in the absence of Chris Middleton. Tier 4, this is a tricky one. I like Rudy Gobert a whole bunch, but we also know, like we've talked about before, he's questionable to play. And there's only 2 real viable options here because almost everybody's out in this tier. Bobby Portis is out, Chris Middleton is out, Norman Powell. All of those guys are out. So then your options you're left with are Rudy Gobert, Brook Lopez, Mason Plumlee. And Mason Plumlee is not really viable now that he's on the Clippers and he's a backup. I project Gobert way better than Brook Lopez. So I like here just going to Gobert and hoping that he plays because I think he's a much better fantasy option than Brook Lopez.
Agreed.
Unfortunately, you're kind of screwed if he's ruled out. So it depends on how risk adverse you want to be. But Gobert is going to be my guy there. Tier 5, Mike Conley. He does not belong in that tier. And then tier 6, Ayo Dosunmu because he's benefiting from every single guard basically. So ace of spade, I hope that helps you. The biggest decision point I think you have to make is right now that tier 4 Brook Lopez versus Rudy Gobert. I prefer Gobert, but I understand it's low risky. So if you want to be safe, you could go with Brook Lopez. Cloud LLC. Can we talk some Rainmaker, craft and burn or hold? What did you end up doing?
I ended up crafting a lot of things. So you got the 3 tokens I had. I sold my legendary one. I had 3 elites, 3. Yeah, because I held a lot of elites, 3 elites, 3 rares, 3 of the regular ones. And then I bought some rares when it dropped and then sold a lot of those because they were going for like $4 more. So that worked out a little bit nicely too. But I burned all of my cheap regular ones. I bought like a bunch of the regular coins and put those into cheap. They're going for like about double, but like when you're getting rid of kickers and defenses and stuff that people don't really want, I don't think there's going to be any utility for these other studs that are like Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, but just in case, I'm holding them or putting them up at like $3-4. And if people really want them there, go ahead.
Are they getting rid of kickers next year?
I know they're not, but
okay.
They're giving you only 10% of your collector score and a bunch of other things. So it's kind of a waste there to a certain extent, but feel pretty good about crafting. You can probably craft, but if people want to buy those rare coins, because it seems like they just went really like they're going $2 higher than what I sold them out here now. So if you got a bunch of those coins at the drop, I only bought like 50 of them. I should have bought all 200, but such is life.
Yeah. So I'm kind of unopinionated on a Cloud LLC. Eric's much more involved in the NFL one. I really like the MMA Rainmakers, but on NFL, I'm fairly unopinionated.
Well, you're going to have to start figuring it out because I'm assuming they're going to introduce the same UFC stuff too.
Yeah. But for the NFL stuff, I just don't have don't really have a great answer for him. So Eric is the expert in this field, so I'll let him answer, and I will back up everything.
Expert or degenerate? Pick one of the two.
Expert. Jose Morales, super chat. New to fantasy, must plays at each position. So I will ask you first, Jose, whether you mean for DraftKings or for FanDuel. But Eric, I have lineups built out for both sites. Do you have lineups built out for both sites?
Just DraftKings.
Okay, so you do it for DraftKings. I'll do it for FanDuel. So Jose, one thing I will say is if you are new, check out some of the tools that we have over at the site, and it's going to be the easiest way to help you. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm shilling anything here, but it's just because I actually mean this to be the case. Sign up for some of the stuff we have. Our first time you sign up, you get 50% off using the link we have below. It's going to be really hard for you to play NBA DFS without some sort of projections. Like it's really a must.
Yep.
Or actually, the other thing you could do too is NBA lineup generator. I'll show you how to use that in a second. I think that's a good thing to show to newer players.
Yep.
So for right now, Eric, you do it for DraftKings. I'll do it for FanDuel, and then we'll build out some lineups in the NBA lineup generator to show people how that works as well. But who are the point guards that you get the most, or the point guard you get the most exposure to on DraftKings? And I'll do it for FanDuel.
Io.
Yeah, Io, easy. Shooting guard,
Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, shooting guard is also Io on FanDuel by like a landslide, but the second most for me ended up being Jrue Holiday here.
Mm-hmm.
Small forward for you over on DK.
Anthony Edwards. Same.
Yeah, so small forward and power forward is both going to be Giannis for me over for FanDuel, but I'll add in Patrick Williams is the one I got the next most exposure to at power forward. Anthony Edwards at small forward, but you. Power forward, small forward, DK.
It makes sense. So yeah, he's got the same deal there too. Kyle Kuzma is going on my board too, but Giannis at power forward.
And then center for me on FanDuel ended up being Kristaps Porzingis.
Rudy Gobert, if it's not Giannis, because power forward center, but Rudy Gobert, probably a play that anytime you get the Q tag next to the name and people uncertain, I know we have them projected at 41%, but it almost always happens where you end up getting positive leverage on these kind of plays. It's like an artificial bump that exists that's just so hard to project for. He is 6,200 playing with his boy Mike Conley again. I am pretty interested in obviously there's some kind of rapport where Mike Conley, he has a lot of familiarity with him. I got to assume that's going to be some kind of a connection. So I am looking at being bullish on Gobert so long as he plays.
So let's, Jordan, can you pull up the NBA lineup generator and also put it on the screen so Eric and I could see it? And I think this will be a really good way to, especially for a 3-game slate, because I think this is really cool. And we don't really get the time to show this very often when we're doing a regular show, just because we don't have that many 3-game slates. And then a lot of times there's a million players on the injury report we're always responding to. But I want to show you guys the NBA lineup generator. And I think it'd be a cool way to look at it for a 3-game slate. Also, we'll do it for DraftKings and for FanDuel, build out some lineups. And if you guys want to sign up for this, it's less than $10. You can get it for very cheap. And also, if you're signing up for the first time, 50% off. So you can get this for a very minimal price to try it out. And we'll give you a run through right now. So click on the DraftKings tournament. Going to be having cash games soon, but for right now, how do you want to build these, Eric? For a small 3-game slate, do you want to go chalky, balanced, contrarian? What say you?
Let's get contrarian. I mean, a lot of people are playing the largest field tournaments, and you probably, again, you probably don't want to have a ton of just Io, Kobe White, Giannis. Like, we want to rotate through some different plays. So let's ramp up some of the randomness today.
All right, so we're going contrarian. Don't lock anybody in, though. We'll skip this. But just so you guys see, that is something you can do. Is if there's a play you really like on any given slate, you could lock them in. So here's how the next functionality works is you guys could save or discard lineups. So up to 20 at a time, and then you could upload them right to DraftKings or FanDuel from here. So just scroll down, Jordan, and see, just show them like save, discard. Also, if you see a lineup and you want to switch a player out, you could do that from here. But like save a couple, discard a couple.
So cool.
And then just go to the end, save 20, and then we'll show people at the end what it's going to look like is after you've got 20 lineups saved, and it doesn't have to be 20. If you guys want to just build out 1 or 2, that's obviously cool as well. But here at the end, you're going to see all your saved lineups on the left, and here's all the exposures that you're getting to players. So one thing you'll notice here is this is how much better Io DeSumo projects than everybody else today. Even with us trying to build contrarian lineups, he showed up in 86% of them.
Yeah.
86% of the lineups, he still ended up showing in. Rudy Gobert ended up being somebody we got to a lot. Mike Conley, Drew Holiday, Giannis also still ended up being in about half of our lineups. So this gives you an idea when you guys build out these lineups, who it is that you'll actually go to want to be rooting for today. And then right from here, you can export the lineups, and then you click just the lineups tab. Yeah, so you guys would go to export to CSV. And then if you go to DraftKings, there's the lineups tab, and you can upload the lineups to DK from there. If anybody's ever using this and they have questions, hit me up on Twitter and I could walk you through it. Anything that stands out to you about the exposures in the lineups we built there?
Yeah, you can slide it back up there, Jordan. Obviously, Io, it makes sense. He's my second highest owned player, him and Giannis. 1-2. Shouldn't shock anybody there. Rudy Gobert, he is showing up a lot there in the optimizer. This might be one of those things where, again, people who are hand building might see the Q tag, get away from it. When you're building out with an optimizer, like most people are these days, you see how much you're going to get to him at 6,200. Such a good play if he's active there. The Mike Conley one is pretty interesting to me too. I know that he's at 5,200. The prices come down there. Jalen Noel, he did looked great in that one start before they acquired Mike Conley after they unloaded D'Angelo Russell. But Mike Conley there, 32 minutes. Does he continue to get those extended? Or is that going to kind of be his baseline going forward for Minnesota? I kind of want to be on whichever side of that question it is, because it's like he's going to be very, very popular. But I'm hoping that he ends up getting a little bit more run based on my ownership and based on the lineups we have there. Just because, if he plays 34 in a competitive spot, 36 going into the All-Star break, you're going to want him.
By the way, we just got the Bulls starting lineup, and no real surprises here. The Bulls are going to be starting DeSunmu, White, Levine, Williams, and Vooch. It's so hard to get away from DeSunmu and White as value options. I know they're both really popular today, but they're both starting alongside each other, and there's just nobody else to really.
Well, I mean, that's a difference. Kobe White's a better play than before. I mean, he played 33 minutes yesterday off the bench.
But they also have more guys. But Caruso played yesterday. He's out today,
I know. So that's like, what I'm saying. It's like just having those locked in minutes. It's like we have him projected for 32. We assumed he was going to be starting, but just getting the official word that he's in there and seeing that, like, for me, it's just no brainer. Play a lot of both of those two.
Yeah, Kobe White, DeSunmu. To me, the two best value plays we have on the slate. But Jordan, let's build out some FanDuel lineups now. We did it for DraftKings. We want to make sure that people see some of the FanDuel exposures we would be getting to in this as well. So yeah, just go back, NBA lineup generator, FanDuel, and let's also make contrarian lineups. Try to get as different as we could for a 3-game slate. And like we saw before, we're still going to end up getting to a bunch of super chalky plays. But yeah, don't lock anybody in. Generate the lineups. Just do a quick save 20, and we'll see what ends up popping up. You don't have to discard anybody for this run here. For FanDuel, I'm curious to see how much different the players are going to end up looking for FanDuel as compared to DraftKings.
Me too. I mean, I just feel like not playing that much today. I just feel like chilling, kicking my feet up a little bit. I maybe should put a couple in FanDuel. Is it filled already? Let me see.
I could check for you. So no surprises here. The most roster player we got to was also Dosunmu. One thing that is interesting, making contrarian lineups, we did not get to very much of Kobe White on FanDuel. Kobe White is still somebody, at least in my lineups I built out, I got to a good amount of. Now, he's more expensive on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. He's $4,800 as opposed to the $4,100 tag on DK. But apparently we're making contrarian lineups here. He didn't show up as frequently. Projections preferred Dosunmu. Giannis also came up in way more lineups on FanDuel. Makes sense. He's more popular there, but also it's just easier to fit in some of those high-priced guys on FanDuel. Anything else that's catching your eye here?
Not really. Again, Grayson Allen, that's a play that, on DK made a lot of sense. On FanDuel, how are we feeling about Grayson Allen being in that many lineups of ours? He's got negative leverage. He's 3,900. I don't feel like we need Grayson Allen he's different on FanDuel there. Quite a bit of negative leverage. I get it. He's 4,300 there, shooting guard, small forward, but I feel like that's a piece on FanDuel that I'd be a lot more willing to trim than on DraftKings.
Makes sense. I have no issue with that whatsoever. So guys, that's the lineup generator. It is less than $10 to sign up. And if you haven't signed up for any packages before, 50% off. So you could get that for like less than $5. And I do recommend that you guys check that out, especially if you're somebody who's either new to DFS or somebody who's just often short on time. If you're coming home from work and you only got like 10, 15 minutes, maybe you can't watch all our content or watch live before lock, check out the lineup generator. It's going to be the easiest way for you guys to build some lineups quickly. The Thunder, the entire team, Oklahoma City Thunder, I assume. This is SGA, Josh Giddey, the whole gang posting. Who are your two best prize picks plays today? Eric, do you have anything you're on for prize picks?
Yeah, I got a couple of things going. Over in the old fantasy score department, you got a decent spot, I think. What do you have projected for Patrick Williams on FanDuel today?
Patrick Williams. Got Patrick Williams for about 25 fantasy points.
There you go. He's at 23.5. I have him just north of that at 25.7 for FanDuel purposes. 2 points. That's a pretty decent number. He's also a guy who just could play a boatload of minutes, could get up some stocks. Patrick Williams, I think at that number, it's pretty gettable. But my favorite, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is down to 34 points on prize picks. He's been 34.5, 35 other places. His line is 34.5. I like the over of that. I am in love with the over of 34 points for him over on prize picks today. He is just a monster without Chris Middleton out there. There's no way around it. He's been a monster with Chris Middleton around him here of late. And I think the last game before the All-Star break, if it stays remotely competitive, he's probably playing 36 and there's no way he's not going over. And if it's not competitive, it's probably because he went over. So lots of ways that I think at 34, I like the over there.
All right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And also, if you guys are just playing on prize picks, do what Eric just said there. It makes a whole lot of sense. Compare some of the prize picks lines to BetMGM, DraftKings, FanDuel. It's going to be a really good way to find some value there. The next super chat that we have here is from Jay. Greg at Lock, what is the top projected lineup for Clippers? All right, so he's going to want the Clipper showdown. I know my customers here. I know what he wants. So Jay, let me run that for the Clipper showdown contest tonight, and then I will follow up and get back to you. Roll Tide, HMD. I have more Porzingis than Edwards. Mistake. I have more Edwards than Porzingis.
I have a lot more Edwards than Porzingis.
It also depends on the site. For FanDuel,
True.
I don't think it's terrible because of the defensive stat bonus you get from Porzingis. That would be a no for me on DraftKings. I would consider it a mistake on DK.
Agreed.
Do you have any, because I know you said before that Edwards is somebody who's one of your more rostered players, but for DraftKings, is Porzingis somebody you're really getting to at all?
Not really. My thing is that I think Anthony Edwards, with this, the amount that he gets a bump without D'Angelo Russell on the floor this season, and Mike Conley playing alongside of him, not going to be a high usage guy. $9K for Anthony Edwards with shooting guard, small forward positionality just makes way more sense. I want to get to all the Giannis and all the land from a pure projection standpoint. And when you start talking about him having the same exact what am I trying to say, positionality as Kristaps Porzingis, just give me Giannis every time.
Fair enough. And to answer Jay's question, he wants to know who some of the top plays are for the showdown contest tonight. The captain I got to the most, actually I was a little surprised by this, was DeAndre Ayton. I think that the main reason I ended up getting to more Ayton than other players as captain, I think it was just a price point thing. In fact, that he enables you to get to some of the other players more frequently in the utility spot. Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, Josh Okogie, Paul George, Torrey Craig. Those are the players I got to the most as utility plays. So Jay, I hope that helps you build out your showdown lineups for tonight. Good luck. The next question is from, I'm gonna do this wrong. Sam Lechner. Sorry if I butchered your last name.
I appreciated the effort. So did he.
I'm not sure he did. Well, I'll watch him never.
Probably not.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys okay with 4 from the same team today, specifically Chicago, Milwaukee? Yes, I capped it at 4 though.
Yeah, I'm with you.
With that said, I don't have a ton of lineups that have 4 players, but I'm okay with having 4.
I'm okay with it too.
Did you go any with more than 4?
I did not. No.
Okay.
And again, it's a 3-game slate. If you run into the double overtime thing, it's like my buddy used to say, there's 3 guarantees in life: a death, taxes, and somebody game stacked it.
There you go. Exactly. That is what people say. I think Jesus, right?
Yeah. He was a dude. He was just walking around preaching love your neighbor and shit. He was a cool dude.
Yeah. And stack games.
Games.
You know, whatever. I'm not exactly a well-studied religious man, but I know some things here and there. Also, something we should mention. We got 21 minutes left. I know it's only a 3-game slate. Eric and I are still doing a post-lock show today because we want to hang out with you guys for more. So if you haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and stick around for the post-lock show where we're going to be talking about SoRare, who are sponsoring our show today, but we're also going to be talking about the Rudy Gobert situation, whatever ends up happening there with him being in or out. And I'm fairly sure we haven't seen an update yet. We have not.
No.
But over on SoRare, even though there's no NBA games, they are going to be running contests for the All-Star break. And by the way, I looked this up, Eric. There are McClung cards to be had. So you
I've never timed somebody out for a super chat before, but it just happened for the first time ever. I have timed somebody out for a super chat.
What was the super chat?
Why don't you look at it? Let me know.
I can't. You deleted it.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it again.
You deleted it.
That's horrible, dude.
But I can't. But no, like I actually can't read it.
Oh, well, I'm not even going to tell you after the show. It's just, I mean, come on, dude. That's absurd. What are you doing, dude? That's not even funny.
Was it mean towards me or you?
Well, it was aimed towards saying a bad word that it's just like, you got to be kidding me, man. God.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is. So
that's that. I mean, it's weird for me to like get upset with a super chat, but like that was really, really ridiculous. Don't ever do that again.
Yeah, I mean, once again, don't know what it is. Find out later in the
probably not
in the program, I guess, when we're done.
Even...
But anyway, I was going to talk about for SoRare. But if you guys are signing up at SoRare for the first time, use our link, because when you buy 5 limited player cards, you're going to get another one for free. And there are some fun contests for this weekend, like for the All-Star game, where you get different fantasy points for who wins the dunk contest, the skills competition, 3-point contest. And I think I have an actual edge to this. I've got actual thoughts on strategy for this, believe it or not, Eric. And we're going to be talking about that in the post-lock show for sure. Some more super chats that we have here. Or actually, that one's gone now.
Jokes about Jesus. I was having fun. We were having fun about that. But I mean, those are not the same thing. If you think those two things are the same thing, you need to reassess your situation. Come on, dude. Go cry, Eric. Are you kidding me? You guys are absurd. You got to be joking me. Whatever. I'm over it.
Know what it
Go
is.
ahead.
Now we got to figure out what it is he said. No
Nope.
way to know.
Nope.
It is gone.
Unbelievable.
Forever. Some questions we have in Discord now to answer. Discord, we've got I need money to, don't we all? I need money 205. Dalen Terry is pulling 20% ownership on FanDuel. What am I missing?
Everybody's out for Chicago.
Yeah. Number one, I do think that's a little bit too much ownership. I did not
Agreed.
get to him in 20% of my lineups. But what you're missing is that everybody's out for the Bulls. He's literally the only guard they have available off the bench. There's nobody else.
Go ahead.
So I know for DraftKings, you said you're not playing him. For FanDuel, though, where there's a limited amount of cheap value options and he's min price, would you be willing to look at him on FanDuel? I like him on DraftKings, where at least he's not popular at all.
Cool.
Do you have a Dalen Terry take?
I don't. He's just not that good of a play. I don't have a lot of him.
Okay. Well, you guys have got Eric rattled. And guys, I don't know what you guys, I'm backing Eric on this one. I don't know what was said in the super chat, but it seems to have not been nice. The next question here
wasn't even towards me. It was towards me trying to say something that's just, I mean, again, there's a line. It's just so insane.
Super chat from Malcolm Reva. Let's get the energy back up here. Let's
cool.
You know what, actually, Eric, I'll let you sing. And I will, if it's going to make you happy, I'll let you sing, and I won't even.
I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing, strolling around on those.
So just to make Eric feel better, I'm not going to say what my true thoughts were about his singing. I thought it was fantastic. I thought that was
flapping your fins. You don't get too far. That's all. That's I got for you.
All right, Malcolm Revamp. I'm in debt. Hard for taxes. Who are the DK core? So the players that I have the most exposure to on DraftKings: Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Rudy Gobert right now, and Anthony Edwards. Those are the guys I'm getting the most of.
Absolutely perfect.
Super chats. This one is from Jorge. Thoughts on Dalen Terry? Eric, you failed me on the PGA. I have you in 100% of my lineups. You're not helping, sir.
Well, let me just say, if they gave me an opportunity to go play at a PGA Tour event at Riviera Country Club, I would be there immediately. So it wasn't from any fault of my own wanting to be there.
So Dalen Terry, and we've got Jorge asking about him for DraftKings purposes. Now, let me look at what the most recent ownership is on Dalen Terry. Do you have that in front of you, Eric? Let me see if it's been updated.
Let me see. He was right around 10% of my 14% or something earlier. All
right. So it is currently, we've got an ownership run.
Yeah.
Terry's 12% on DraftKings. I have him in 10% of my lineups right now.
Yeah, that seems about right. He's just a dude at flat 3K. If it ends up working out for you, it's more of like the other pieces in the lineup. I doubt he's going to get 25 minutes and put up 25 fantasy points or something ridiculous. God help us all if that's the case.
Yeah, he's a guy. If Jorge, I know you often play 150 lineups. If you have some exposure to him, cool. I wouldn't have him be like a core piece of stuff you're doing, though.
Great. Oh, my goodness. Anthony Davis, you're the man. Appreciate you.
Anthony Davis, the Anthony Davis from the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a mad emoji. Whatever happened, don't let him affect your money, bro.
No, it's good. It's more of just me wanting to like make sure that people are being appropriate and that, you know, there's things you can do. There's things you can't do. That one was just a little bit too far for me.
There we go. Somebody crossed the line.
That's it. I'm fine.
The next question we have here is from Ernie P. Who are your most exposed guys at each position, and what is the percentage? So I could actually run through this. I'm still going to be doing one more run, and this could change based on what ends up happening with Rudy Gobert. But at least as of now, it is Kobe White at point guard, and I have him in about 70% of my lineups. He's also shooting guard eligible. At small forward, I have Anthony Edwards in a little more than half of my lineups. Giannis also in about half of my lineups. And then at center right now, it is Rudy Gobert, who's also in more than half of my lineups. Slightly
awesome. Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Rudy Gobert.
Miami High Life. Are you or Eric playing any of Marjan? Yes, I am playing Marjan.
I do have some Marjan.
He's actually of the punt plays, he's my favorite one from the Bucs.
Really? I don't know about that. I mean, I like Ingles more.
I'm getting to a little bit more margin, not much more.
Yeah, I mean, the flat 3K thing can work out for you, but I don't find myself needing to do that. And you start getting into those builds where is it Terry? Is it Marion? More than likely it's neither. And that's where I kind of land on a little bit more Joe Ingles, who somebody could actually, like, I can make a case for him playing 27, 28 minutes. I mean, he played 31 against Boston last time out here. I think you're probably looking at something similar, 28, 30 perhaps. Like, it feels like somebody who could spike more of an upside here.
I think Marjan's more likely to play extended minutes, though. Ingles is the much better player.
Yes.
But I think Beauchamp starts tonight.
Okay. But I mean, he could start, but I don't think the minutes, I don't think there's any chance, barring foul trouble or injury, that Joe Ingles plays fewer minutes than Marion.
Could be. We shall
see. All right. You want to put a little wager, a little coin on that one? I'd be happy to.
What's the wager here?
Under the bridge downtown.
Is this for who gets to ride on the top of the bobsled?
Top of the bobsled for the next 6 days till we're back on Thursday.
All right, handshake.
No.
Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. All right,
there it is.
Whoever, and what's your preference, top or bottom of the bobsled?
I'll take. I want bottom.
Fuck, me too. All right, so now,
perfect.
Now this is all right. Whoever wins gets to ride on the bottom of the bobsled. Those are the rules for today. I'm gonna upload my lineup, so I should probably do that. What's good? What are you laughing at over there?
I am so beside myself today. I have no idea what to do with people. I have no idea.
That super chat really threw you off, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Don't be jerks out there, guys. Random saying, but Jesus jokes are acceptable. I mean,
I said he was a cool dude walking around preaching love your neighbor. Like, that's what he did. He was cool.
And I said he liked to stack DFS lineups.
And then he liked to stack DFS lineups. I don't know what. Okay.
Let's see the next super chat that we have here is. All right, we got all the super chats. Let me see if anything has popped up in Discord. And no, we're all set. So let's go over now some possible situations. Like, what would we do if Rudy Gobert gets ruled out and or Kyle Anderson? Like, how would this change our lineups? What would we be getting to?
Rudy Gobert, you're going to play 100% Naz Reid. You're going to get to every single share of Naz Reid you could possibly get to if Rudy Gobert is out. There's not a scenario on planet Earth where I don't play 100% Naz Reid at 4K if you get news that Rudy Gobert's out. Now, we're going to have some pieces that are locked for Milwaukee and Chicago, but like, I'd be willing to leave $1,000 or so of salary on the table in certain lineups because, like, Naz Reid would instantly be the best point per dollar play on the entire slate. There's no way that I would get away from him in any capacity. Give me, without a doubt, all the Naz Reid and all the land.
So Naz Reid, yeah. So I think the easiest permutation of this is if Rudy Gobert doesn't play, Naz Reid starts and plays all the minutes. By the way, Naz Reid, we've even seen start alongside Gobert times. It hasn't gone well for Minnesota when they've played the two of them together, but it's never something that's totally out of the question that could possibly happen. But Rudy Gobert, if he does not play, the other thing too is now we're 10 minutes to go into lock. I think Gobert's going to be under owned today.
You think Gobert's going to be under owned?
I don't.
I do too.
I don't think that's a button. I know that he's projected for a good amount of ownership now.
Yep.
And once again,
it's that Q tag, man. I'm telling you, it's a thing.
People, I know he's projected for 42% ownership right now, but people get messed up when they don't see that green check mark. They need their green check mark.
They do. And then what happens is Jalen Suggs has a green check mark and he's not starting. He puts up one fantasy point. That was hilarious. And then he smashes the next slate. No green check mark. See, green check marks don't matter.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, and actually, Jordan, would you mind throwing a throw a question in the Discord chat about whether people are. We just got the starting lineup for the Bucks, by the way. This is going to change some shit. Bucks starting lineup. So screw everything else we're talking about. Drew Holiday, Javon Carter, Grayson Allen, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brooke Lopez. We've got Javon Carter in the backcourt. I was not expecting Carter to start. I know a while ago he was starting, but it's been a minute. And what are we going to do with Javon Carter starting? This to me is a negative for both Marchand and for Joe Ingles, because it's somebody else we have to give more minutes.
Yeah, Ingles, I think, is still locked into his role. I'm just going to take Marchand out of my player pool. I think barring blowout, there's not really a whole lot of reason to get to him here. Javon Carter, as if we needed to have another piece of value that's a point guard. I still love Io and Kobe White far, far more, but you're going to get some positive leverage going to Javon Carter. So I'm going to get a little bit, but there's no way I'm going to get carried away. I just changed him, put him to 24 minutes. I think that's about appropriate. Gets him to 18 fantasy points. I bet I get a couple shares, but out of 20 lineups, there's no way that I'm going to get to anything major.
Javon Carter, I think I'm going to, though. How much of Carter do you think people are going to play now?
Not a lot. It's going to be hard to get to him this quickly. So, I mean, I think regardless, there's more than likely positive leverage going to him. But, I mean, I'm just worried that he doesn't play more than 24 minutes.
Let's see. What has he done in recent starts? I mean, recent's relative. I don't know.
Yeah, it's relative because, I mean, you had spots where he started for Drew Holiday when he was out. You had Chris Middleton out for a long time. 23, 31. Yeah, 23, 31, 32. None of that matters to me because completely different situation. I got to think. I mean, now Jordan Nwora is gone. It's kind of a weird bench that you're looking at here. Now, Javon Carter obviously starting, not part of the bench, but like, should I put him in for 26 minutes? Because if I do, he's starting to get close to around 20 fantasy points at a 3,300. He'll at least be a little bit more viable, but I don't love him today.
I wouldn't say I love him, but I assume that as I run lineups, I'm going to be overweight to whatever the field is on him.
Okay. I'm playing everything the opposite of what Mr. Showtunes plays. Well, thank you. I'm Mr. Showtunes.
How do you know that's not me?
How do you play the opposite of somebody that I just got to 18% of? Like, what are you planning to do? Play 82% of them?
You just reverse the numbers.
Yeah, cool.
Right.
So have fun with that. Slim Savage. Good talk.
If you're playing 32% of somebody, they're going to play 23. They're just going to reverse the numbers. That's the opposite.
Wild
good
stuff.
Logic. All right. Export these lineups. Like I said before, we were getting questions about who are going to be playing and whatnot. So here is with the new Bucks starting lineup, running lineups here. How do you think this is going to impact the lineups that you've built?
Not a ton. I just went to get 18% of a guy. I had 0. So I have 21 lineups total. That's why the number is weird as opposed to just intervals of 5. But let's see. I got to a little bit of him. I don't even think I want to get to that much. I mean, the clear-cut priority is still the Bulls guys. I understand there's going to be a little bit of positive leverage, but maybe there's a case to be made where he just plays a lot more than we think.
I am going to, so this isn't going to affect my exposure to the Bulls guys, but before somebody asked us about Marchand, like Marchand went from somebody I liked as a play to I have less than 10% of him now. Like he's an afterthought for me.
I have one share of him.
He was my favorite value play from the Bucks. Now Carter's my favorite value play from the Bucks. I think a lot of these guys are similar. I think Ingles is similar. I think Carter is similar. I think Grayson Allen also fairly similar, but I think Carter's going to be the least owned of them. That makes him the priority for me.
Okay. I will get to a little bit here. And yeah, I'm fine with this. Again, the news came out late. We have 4 minutes until lock. That should be good.
The next question from Hef Love. Any Highland love with Powell out? I have one lineup with Bones Highland. So no. it's hard to it's hard to know what his role is going to be like with the Clippers, but I don't think he's going to play a massive role. I don't think anyway. Played 16 minutes last game. Cheyenne DeWald, Carter or Joe Ingles on FanDuel. If price is no consideration, we've got Carter at so Carter is 3,800 on FanDuel, Ingles 4,000. So here's one little difference about so it's Ingles. That's just going to make it quick and easy. There's only 2.5 minutes left to go here. Carter or Ingles for you if it's just picking 1v1. For FanDuel,
I'll go Ingles still.
FanDuel, it's going to be Ingles for me. DraftKings,
I'll go Carter for DraftKings. Yeah, I'm finishing it up here. I'm going to get to a little bit of them there, but I do like both.
Ecoomb, another one that I'm sure I pronounced wrong. Why do I have all these difficult ones to pronounce? ECOOMB.
You did your best.
Is Mamukashvili. I can never
Mamukashvili. There you go.
Mamukashvili in play today, not for me.
No.
I've got everything's hard. The names of the players are hard to pronounce. The YouTube handles are hard to pronounce. Our Pat's heads are falling off. As Eric would
Pat's
say.
heads are falling off. Your co-host is off the rails.
Yeah,
he's upset. How dare he be upset?
We're getting racist super chats.
It's just unbelievable, guys.
All right, let me just double check Discord here. By the way, next 30 minutes, Eric and I are going to be sticking around. We're going to be talking about some so rare stuff. We're going to be sweating whatever happens in the first game here. And presumably we're going to get lineup news at some point on Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert. I don't know when, eventually we're going to, but that game starts in 32 minutes and nothing yet. If you had to guess, or guess maybe isn't the right word, who do you think is more likely to sit, Gobert or Kyle Anderson?
Gobert. No, Kyle Anderson, I would say, is more likely to sit, but I'd put them both in like the 90%, like 90% that they both play.
How long do you think it's been since these guys weren't questionable in the injury report? Because I don't even remember anymore.
The year was 1943. A long time.
President Carter was in office.
Yeah, it was a hot second ago, that's for sure. Let's see. Yeah, I would say probably 2 months. Feels like a month and a half almost.
I am going to say Kyle Anderson. But I mean, who knows? This team has just been total not. And every time I start to think that there's no chance that these, like, I think, oh, these guys are good to go, then one of them just randomly sits out a game, right? Because like Rudy Gobert, for the longest time, I thought just totally fugazi. There's no way this Rudy Gobert injury is still relevant. And I think the last time I brought that up, he got ruled out like 3 minutes after I said it.
Yeah, it's wild.
But Rudy Gobert, he first got hurt. So Rudy Gobert first got hurt January 14th. He was questionable to play the next game. He starts and plays 5 minutes and gets hurt again. He gets listed as questionable and he misses about a week. Comes back. They list him questionable every single game after he comes back. And he plays 40 minutes in a game. And then I think like, all right, he has to be good to go. Played 40 minutes last game. There's no way this questionable thing means anything. And there we go. Gobert and Kyle Anderson both playing right at lock. There we go. I've got lots of Gobert. Not going to be changing anything there. Same page for you, Rudy Gobert.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
And then as far as Kyle Anderson, not somebody I was getting to. Should we be considering Kyle Anderson?
A little bit. Again, it's the minutes have been kind of strange with him here of late. So let me pull this up here. They've been playing McDaniels a little bit more. He played 24 minutes last game, but he went from starting there and playing. He played 17 minutes in that start. I know he got dinged up, but those minutes are just kind of what I'm mainly worried about. I don't know what to make of it, but 24 off the bench here. If they just keep that same rotation going, like he's 4,600, it's starting to get down to a place where you could think about it, but like projecting it for 22 minutes isn't a whole lot of fun. There's this second unit from Minnesota that comes in, him, Noel. It's it's just not all that appealing. Torian Prince. I would rather play shares of Prince just because of the price point, just cheaper down there. Kyle Anderson, 4,600, because of how good that guard value is that just locked. Pretty hard for me to want to prioritize him in any sort of meaningful way.
The last time I really played Kyle Anderson in any kind of meaningful way was the February 3rd game. He'd played 39 minutes the game before. He was a contrarian play. I like the nuts in single entry. And Kyle Anderson was in that lineup, and he played 5 minutes.
Kyle Anderson's starting.
Oh. Well, this kind of changes.
Just absolutely jumping to the next thing. Kyle Anderson. I like him today.
Yeah. So what I was about to say about Kyle Anderson is he absolutely fucked me the last time that I really went heavy on him, and not in the good way. And now I think I might have to go back to him. Let's see, Kyle Anderson. Oh, this absolute goofball. $4,600 on FanDuel. Kyle Anderson, 46 on DK, 55 on FanDuel is a little easier to get away from.
Yes.
46 on DK. Oh, apps. I don't want to do this, but I have to, don't I? All right, let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Who else is this going to impact? So Kyle Anderson is starting. Starting 5, just to read it off. Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, Anderson, Gobert. Outside of Kyle Anderson, who else could this benefit in any kind of way from Minnesota? Or does it not benefit anybody else?
I mean, it benefits Kyle Anderson.
Does it hurt anybody in particular?
Not really. It's a guy who can do stuff from time to time, but kind of does an all-around box score kind of deal. It probably hurts Mike Conley the most, but we don't have enough of a sample size to know. It's more of just thinking about it from a basketball perspective. Mike Conley sharing the floor with another guy who can play with the ball in his hand and do some other things. Mike Conley might not be as active on the offensive end, but again, it's just it's trying to figure out how the pieces go together. Mike Conley's still 5,200 and too cheap on this slate. And now that he's starting there instead, it's like, I don't know. I just don't know what to make of it. Say that again.
Showdown, Javon Carter's 4% owned.
No way.
Should have been doing that. Should have been like Jay and playing Showdown.
The one guy I definitely like less now, Torian Prince, he'll still be in play. But he's the guy who got the start 2 of the last 3 games. Started against Utah, started against Dallas last time out, played 22. I still think he probably plays like 18, 20 minutes off the bench. Probably the same kind of situation, but would have been more secure with the minutes if you had known he was actually going to start. But now Kyle Anderson, I just put him in for, let's see. He has 26 minutes too many, because then I'm going to get a lot of him.
No, I think that's perfectly reasonable. I'll check. Let me refresh.
Because 26. Then he's projected right around 25 fantasy points. That I will definitely get to him now.
By the way, what would you guess Javon Carter's ownership ended up being in the 150 max $4 on DK?
8%.
Pretty close. 10%.
Okay.
I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, so how much over the field did you get?
I ended up with about 30% of lineups.
Okay. I ended up with just around 20. So again, I felt like any more you are starting to trend the balance of like, am I just playing this because it's contrarian, or do I actually believe in it? Because like 10% is not 0, but also if we had known he was starting an hour ago, he would have been 30%, I assume, 25%.
Which we've seen at points this year. Like the last time Javon Carter started, he absolutely sucked in that game, if I remember correctly. But wasn't he like 60% owned in large field tournaments?
Yes,
that was on a bigger slate, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was.
So Kyle Anderson, like Kyle just as I'm talking about how much I don't want to play Kyle Anderson and how hard he screwed me the last time I played him, where he was in my best lineup, my single entry lineup. Everybody did well, and Kyle Anderson got hurt 5 minutes into the game and scored no fantasy points. But now he's starting, presumably a low ownership, and I think he makes a lot of sense to get to.
Let's fire it up.
I think this hurts. Torian Prince a little bit. Torian Prince, I was expecting to start.
I was too.
So Torian Prince takes a little bit of a step back. Nobody else, though, like Naz Reid, I don't really think is negatively impacted. It's just
same role.
It's just some Torian Prince minutes now go to Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, it's a dude, and Kyle Anderson I have quite a bit of interest in getting to. How much did you get to of him? You said you were playing 150 tonight.
I'm about to rerun lineups. I assume a pretty good amount. I have him for 20. Let's see. So I have him for 26.1 fantasy points now.
Yep. And then let's jump over and talk a little So Rare, because we got some cool stuff coming up over there for the All-Star game.
All right. Download. Swaptimize. I'll have an answer for you very shortly about how much Kyle Anderson I got to. Kyle Anderson is now in 29.3% of my lineup. So 44 out of 150 of Kyle Anderson. I'm good with that number.
It's a good number.
I'm probably going to be overweight to him. He's not going to, it's not a number where I'm like completely banking on him. And we're uploaded. All right. Any more questions that we got here that were related to the NBA slate in Discord before we start talking about So Rare? Because I figure some people could be asking us about Kyle Anderson. We didn't. So let's talk about the contest that we have over at So Rare.
Yeah.
We're not going to be building out lineups for this or anything, Jordan, just kind of in general talking about the way the scoring works. But I'm going to read it off right here. The scoring rules. There's two different contests, by the way, for the NBA All-Star Weekend. One of them is the Saturday night contest. So the way this works is it's based on the dunk contests, the skills competitions. So the rules are any player will score 50 points for finishing in first place in an event. They score 30 fantasy points for coming in second place and 10 points just for participating. So here's the way I'm viewing this. If you could roster players from the skills challenge, way more valuable than the other ones, just because there's only three teams in the skills contest. It is way easier to come in second in that than it is the 3-point contest. So if I were to prioritize these, skills challenge 1, because there's the least amount of participants, dunk contest 2, 3-point contest 3, but also you could correlate players together. You could play multiple guys in the same lineup from the skills competition, because you've got by the way, is there a replacement for Colin Sexton in the skills competition? Do we know?
Do not know. No, I'm looking up skills competition participants right now. Let's see. We've got Giannis, Thanasis, and Alex. They're doing the Antetokounmpo grouping. Clarkson, Kessler, Sexton. Yeah, so Clarkson is filling in there. Oh, no, Sexton is. But Sexton had a hamstring injury.
But what I'm saying is I don't know if Sexton's in it or not. So that's one thing we don't
really you have. Said Mike Conley. So I was saying
my bad. Yeah, that was a misspeak by myself.
It's okay. You got it.
So what I mean is I assume somebody from the Jazz is going to fill in for
Talen Horton Tucker season, I'm sure.
It's the skills challenge. It would presumably somebody with skills.
Who else are they going to have with Jordan Clarkson, Walker Kessler? Markkanen's dinged up or was sick or something. Colin Sexton hamstring for the 94th time this season. Agbaji, that'll be fun. He's been very important. High usage player there. JK.
All right, so here's a fun way to look at this. It makes most sense that it would be. I'm fairly sure it's going to be Markkanen, because number one, they already said that he's going to be good to play for the All-Star game.
Okay.
But then the other thing too is he's already going to be there, right? It's the same thing. Like did you see the Julius Randle thing on Twitter that was going on today?
Mm-hmm.
So people are losing their minds that Julius Randle's in the 3-point contest. It's not the best option, but by a mile, it's not the best. It's also convenient just because he's there. They want somebody who's already going to be there. That's why I think Markkanen fills in.
And he's got the New York fan base. Everybody. I mean, Knicks are playing some real basketball, so shout out them go ahead.
But also, I was going to say, as far as Markkanen goes, like he's starting in the All-Star game, by the way. Lauri Markkanen, All-Star starter. He's already going to be there. He might as well just be in the skills competition. It's easier than being like, hey, Kelly Olynyk, I know you got vacation plans. Why don't you screw him to go dribble a basketball around in a circle for a few minutes?
Apparently, I misheard you. He said, Sexton, Eric, you need to start listening when your boss speaks. There it is. I do. Sorry, boss.
Hey, I think I'm going to take Ben P's word for it. I'm right. Eric's wrong. That lines up with me.
See, yeah, good times, good times. But this is really, really kind of cool because, I mean, I gotta assume there's some value to get some of these Antetokounmpo cards, correct? Going to the market.
Which there can't be Alex Antetokounmpo cards, though, right?
Oh no.
I mean, that
that
would
would just be next level.
Cards.
Thanasis, he's going for 98 cents right now. I'm going to snag one of those puppies.
There you go. So Thanasis does make sense. And you could correlate him too. Like I already have, like if you want to correlate him with Giannis, because if the Antetokounmpos win, you know,
two-time.
Right. You're getting the bonus from everybody there. So skills competition, once again, I think is the best one. Just from a standpoint of it's very 2/3 of the field is at least coming in second place in here, and there's a bonus for that. The 3-point contest to me is by far the worst one to target, right? Like,
it's going to be hard to pick a winner.
Yeah, I don't even know how many people do the 3-point contest now, like 50 or something.
And they're all excited to go shoot threes. Nobody wants to dunk the basketball anymore. But also, aren't there only 4 dunk participants?
Yeah, but there's also only the reason I like
you can't correlate the skills competition. You can correlate it.
Yeah, you could correlate it, and there's only 3 participants.
I love the strategy for it. So I guess the way to get different is to, well, I mean, no way around it. I think you would be foolish not to stack up all 3 players I guess the Antetokounmpo would be the contrarian one because one, Giannis is going to be the most expensive card out of everything there. Thanasis, people aren't going to correlate it, but you only get 2 of those options. So if they're the ones who go for 50, you are bypassing a lot of people who stack up Clarkson, Kessler, Sexton, and Banchero, Ivy, Jabari Smith. That's the other trio for team rookies. So I think that's going to be my path, is try to stack them up, hope that they get the 50, and then piece together who these other pieces would be. But I think regardless, you're probably taking, even if you take the Giannis pieces, you're probably taking another piece from the other 6 because, there's only 3 events that can possibly be won, correct?
Yes, but and that's also another thing too, is the skills competition, you get 3 winners in the same lineup, depending which team it is. Like if you're not going to be able to get Alex Antetokounmpo in there, but
Jordan Clyde's very upset about Julius Randle in the 3-point contest. That's pretty funny to me.
So, by the way, Jordan wants to know
I hope he wins
Julius Randle in the 3-point contest because he said yes. Like that's the reason why he said yes. He might have even volunteered. So I wouldn't be surprised if
a volunteer's tribute.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if his agent was like, "Hey, he would like to do this," and they just said, "Okay." It's not something that people are not. I assume anyway. NBA players are not dying to cancel their vacation plans to go participate in the 3-point contest.
No.
And he's already at the All-Star game.
But the 3-point contest is the most star-studded event going on the entire weekend. And that is almost including the All-Star game.
Who are the 3-point contests? While we're doing this, let's try to guess who's going to win all of these things.
All right. This is going to be fun. So, again, you're probably going to have to pick another card if you just have one in your portfolio. If you try to get contrarian with the Giannis and Thanasis, then you're going to piece together. You have to take another one probably from the skills challenge. I would probably take one from the rookies. Looks like I think this Utah one. I think they're fine, but let's go to the 3-point
by the way,
contest.
if Markkanen does the skills contest also, Markkanen
you could get 100.
Markkanen will be in the skills contest and the 3-point contest.
Yeah, you kind of need to have a Markkanen plan in place for the contest. Yeah, that's cool.
If he does both, he could just really.
What's Markkanen's price on the marketplace? Let's find
Markkanen could break the slate, the NBA All Stars.
98 cents to bid on him there too. I'm going to get a bid. No, the bid it's not over for like 2+ days, so gonna have to find another thing to do here. Let's do it.
We got a super chat here from Corey Bomber. 3v3, Okogie, Kawhi, and Gogurt. I like how everybody's autocorrect just makes Gobert Gogurt, and that's just what it comes up as. Or a CP3, PG13, and Slow-Mo. I like that's tough. I like CP3 PG13 and slow-mo more.
I do too. Oh, guys are great.
It's tough. I like both combinations.
I do too. How much Kyle Anderson did you get again?
He is in 44 out of my 150 lineups. So 29%.
Gotcha.
And I also want to know who you guys are picking to win each of these. So anyway, as we're talking about the So Rare, some of the strategy. And by the way, if you guys haven't signed up at So Rare, click the link below. You make 5 limited card player purchases, and you're going to get another one added to your account for free. But yeah, Lauri Markkanen, let's keep an eye on who's going to be in that skills competition. I think it could be Markkanen, and then he's going to be in 2/3 of the events.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way I would consider. That's the only way I would consider the 3-point contest.
Agreed. Jericho Sims, again, the slam dunk. If it's not McClung, who there's no card available for, you're guaranteed 30.
No, there is
so
McClung.
That feels like a stay away. What?
There is McClung. There is McClung.
There's McClung on So Rare?
Uh-huh.
Oh, let me find him here. He's got to be cheap.
Yeah, you could get some. You get some McClung. So by the way, 3-point contest odds. To give you guys an idea of how much harder it is to win the 3-point contest relative to these other ones. You got Damian Lillard and Buddy Hield tied as the betting favorites at plus 425. Believe it or not, Julius Randle does not have the worst odds to win, Jordan. Markkanen is behind him. Don't know why I agree with that. Markkanen is 7-1. Julius Randle is plus 650. Towards the top, then we got Tatum plus 500, Kevin Huerter plus 550, Tyler Hero plus 550, Tyrese Halliburton 6-1. So all these guys, relative long shots, a lot easier to pick the winners of the other ones where it's smaller contest field. So if you guys are building out So Rare lineups for Saturday, prioritize getting to the skills competition guys, the Jazz players, the Antetokounmpo brothers, they correlate. Or if you're looking at the dunk contest, I'm picking McClung to win. I feel you are on the same page, Eric.
I am definitely on the same page there.
Jordan,
I like how they on So Rare, he's got the Philadelphia jersey. I'm like, this is just so great. He's never played a game and probably will never play a game for them in his life.
When I saw his picture on NBA.com, I didn't know whether he played for the Cryptos or for like the blue, whatever it is that he's on. I actually didn't know.
So good.
Because he had the... All right, so Mac McClung, what's the name? What's the actual name of the team? Do you remember the name of the team?
No, I saw it was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. Vooch and Brolo out there having a duel. That's neat. Got 6, 2 for 2 from 3 for the big man.
Yeah,
we got T. McBee giving us a play-by-play. That's fun.
Yeah, so McClung plays for, because I saw the jersey, it said Blue Coats and then Crypto underneath it. It's like, I don't know which one's the team name and which one's the advertisement. Like Blue Coats could be a company. The team could be called the Cryptos. That could be some weird new thing in 2023. So I didn't actually know when I first saw his jersey, but yeah, Mac McClung is on the Delaware Blue Coats. Jordan, what are you going to do if Julius Randle wins the 3-point contest?
I don't know, but Tiger Woods just shot 69, which is 1, nice. 2, hot fire. 3, I'm very upset with Torrey Craig because I have a prize pick slip that would have been 6 of 6 if it weren't for that absolute dunce cap.
Who was it? So I missed that. Who was it that screwed you?
Torrey Craig 2 nights ago.
Torrey Craig.
Torrey Craig.
That he didn't have any rebounds?
He he had a 18.5 fantasy score. He started and played 30 minutes and put up 17.
I think I bet his over rebounds that night and he fell. I think I had over whatever his rebound prop was, he lost by the hook. It was either 5.5 and he finished with 5, or it was 4.5 and he finished with 4.
He had 3 that day. On Tuesday.
I'm either thinking of a different slate or his rebound prop was 3.5.
Torrey Craig had 3 rebounds. It was disturbing. He had 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, block shot, steal, and 3 turnovers. If I get 1 turnover, I cash the ticket. Whatever. Tough break.
Delaware Blue Coats.
Carter is on the board. All right. Javon Carter for 3. In fact, that's 3.5 for my dude Greg over there with a rebound.
Io DeSumo 0 fantasy points so far.
That's bad.
Is he? Are we tilting?
We are losing our get out of your mind. I should have sung that song.
How about Giannis with no fantasy points yet either?
How about Javon Carter with another 3? Oh, hot daddy.
6.75 fantasy points. Oh, by the way, Giannis actually 6.5. I was looking at the stats on the NBA app, which are wrong. And yeah, so we've got Javon Carter feeling good about it. Is he gonna ship stuff for me tonight, Eric?
Ship hop anonymous.
Where's Eric Trapp to post?
It's all the easy ones.
Yeah.
Javon Carter, just absolute slam fest. Go you. Again, I don't know why I was so apprehensive. Normally I would jam those kind of spots, but there's just so many good pieces of value that existed on the board today that, again, I'm double the field. That's cool.
How many birdies did Tiger Woods have today?
More than 1.5 that was available over at
I know
No House Advantage, but
FanDuel had a bonus bet, had one of those odds boosts that I bet, which you guys should be on the lookout for any of those odds boosts. A lot of times they're pretty good value. They Tiger Woods, I think it was like plus 150.
No, Greg, you know, sports books have it out for you. They are not your friend. They are in cahoots with the athletes. And whenever you see those boosts, you shouldn't bet them because they're always a trap.
Well, I will either confirm or deny that in a second based on how many birdies Tiger Woods had today.
Tiger Woods shot 2 under, I know. But so he had at least 2.
All right. He won it easily. It was over 3.5 birdie or betters. And I think they boosted to like plus 200 or plus 150. So there we go. It ended up winning.
Oh, I love Tiger Woods so much.
Yeah. So once again, I'm sure they knew I was on to them rigging it and they were just trying to make me win so I wouldn't catch up to them. Most likely anyway.
Love it.
To say.
Love it.
14-7, the Bucks are now up by. If you guys don't have Javon Carter in your lineups, log off.
Yeah. Go ahead and sacrifice those to the gods. Thanks for coming though.
Brooke Lopez up. Well, Brooke Lopez, 6 points a block, 2 threes for Brooke Lopez. He's the highest.
Loco, DeSumo, you bum. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. DeSumo, absolute trash. DeSumo, you know, so a lot of people are misusing this, but now there's all these crazy AI things you could use to like make people say stuff. But so somebody used the AI voiceover. I posted this the other day on Twitter. It's Adam Silver doing an interview just talking about send some player to China.
Wild.
It is. But anyway, also people are doing it where they're using it to like promote products. People will make a startup and they'll do like an AI voiceover of Joe Rogan and make it seem like it's him promoting their product. And you can't tell the difference. Here it is. Yeah, sure. Here's the Adam Silver one.
This is why we got Jordan Klein here. Very helpful.
Yeah, here's the Adam Silver one.
What?
I
can't hear anything. What are you trying to do?
It didn't work. I hold it up to my microphone.
We don't want to get YouTube flagged. Not that anything that has happened on this stream today could possibly have that show up.
It's a voiceover. It's as Jordan called it, a deep fake of Adam Silver. But
Absurd.
I think it's going to be a staple for me on social media.
Can we get a flashback to the Paul George out tilt before the break?
I like how Eric remembers exactly how it is that he reacted to Paul George. The thing is, though, you can't reenact how upset you actually were in the moment. You can't do it. I know Eric's a good actor, but his level of disappointment and upset about that was tenfold what it is right now in his pretend. Can he hear us right now, Jordan?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say then. How much of Paul George did you play that night? Do you recall?
What are we doing here? I think it was something like that. I said, what are we even doing here? And then it was Greg, Jordan, ring the jock market bell. It's so good. Sure was. That's what I said. I was happy to recreate it for him.
Paul George. Well, I can look it up. Paul George, because I remember Paul George scratched with migraine. Let's see if I could find the date of it.
His dog is a better actor in Cocaine Bear. My dog, it does look like the bear from Cocaine Bear.
Gigantic bear that you have. That was 20.
Oh my God, Javon Carter is daddy. Oh my Lord.
Is he going
8-1.
All right, see, you know what? I should have played even more of him.
You should have. I see. Here's the thing: on a different slate that didn't have all of these Bulls pieces of value, I think you just jammed Javon Carter for pure leverage purposes. But like, it was so hard to do that today. It was so hard
for me. It wasn't. I should have done it harder.
Oh, okay.
Should have done it harder. That's the easiest way to break down every slate afterwards, though, is which players did well. I should have had more of them. Which players did poorly. I should have had less of them. The 30% card I'm pretty happy with. All right, Paul George migraine. Let's find the exact date in history that this happened. Google News. Can't find it anywhere.
Paul George coffee. That's got to be the best way to do it. Coffee out.
Oh, well. Brooke Lopez is up to 14.25 fans.
March 8th, 2021. A day that will live in infamy.
Everything was one way, and then it was never the same again. So one other thing, too, is there's one other So Rare contest for the weekend. They also have an All-Star Game contest. There's no salary cap. You can play anybody from the All-Star Game, which is Sunday night, correct? So
yes.
The All-Star Game, and just, do you have any players that you would think, and also one other thing I'll add to this, no defensive stats. It's only going to be the offensive stats, counted points, rebounds, assists. Are there any players you feel better about? And the answer could be no. Any players in general you feel better about actually giving a shit about this game and scoring more fantasy points than others?
Well, Steph Curry isn't out there, and Steph Curry has been like a cheat code where he's going to go out and make a bunch of threes. And generally what happens is that anything that isn't dunk related, like if you can just string together, get hot, they just let you chuck. And then you've had Giannis at times just kind of go out and enforce, and they play some defense towards the end of the game. But you try to think about closing lineups for the All-Star Game. You try to figure out who are they going to give extra run to when you get to that towards the end of the game, when they start doing it by points there as opposed to running clock. So I got to think LeBron always gets like an artificial bump in these things, but because he's eternally old, maybe I don't want to be doing that. I haven't put together my entire strategy for it, but you also could get who in Utah is going to benefit. Like Lauri Markkanen, are we going to really be benefiting by playing him? I don't think so, but I like Lillard. I got to say, I like Lillard a lot for an All-Star Game format.
I like Markkanen just because he's starting. Like, I'm just going to always prioritize the starters in this, right? So, like, obviously not to the extent of other. And I'm very sketchy of what LeBron's minutes are going to be. He's been banged up as of late. So I'm a little hesitant to play him in these kind of contests. And then particularly if you guys are going to be playing on DraftKings where there is a salary cap and whatnot, I assume I'm not really going to want to be paying up for LeBron. But I'll be on the lookout for that. By the way, super chat from Ryan Nelson. Greg's joy and Eric's pain was the best part of it. It was glorious.
Taylor Terry just came into the game and hit a 3 instantly. Awesome.
So who do they have out on the court then right now?
It is Kobe White, Zach LaVine, something named a Hill, Dalen Terry, and Andre Drummond. Is that Malcolm Hill from Illinois?
I don't know any Malcolm Hills, so maybe.
Yeah, no, Malcolm Hill played at Illinois. So the only reason I know that is that he played for my buddy's team, my buddy Mo. He's a big Illinois. He went there to school, so it makes sense. But he's played all of 4 games this season. He is out on the floor right now. Malcolm Hill. I didn't know he was on the Bulls.
All right, it's time for us to get out of here. We've done everything we could. We've broken down this slate to exhaustion. We've run the gamut. I hope you guys have a good upcoming few days off. So we've got. I'm going to be doing. Are you doing any content, by the way, over the next few days?
Tuesday golf. Otherwise, no.
Okay, I'm going to be doing the MMA show on Saturday. That's all I have for the next few days. So be on the lookout for that if you guys are playing MMA contests. Other than that, enjoy your few days off, guys. We'll be back here next week. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Peace out.